This podcast, it's got a little spice on it.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
got a little spice.
A little spicy podcast.
Took out that sriracha, just like right on top.
Nice. A little sprinkle of tahini on there.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, because we got a lot. So, let's get going. Welcome back, everybody, to the RageSelect podcast. Here on RageSelect, I'm Jeff.
I'm Amanda.
Amanda, what's your preferred spice level? I don't know if I know this. You prefer
So
the
when I
big
was
spice?
a kid, I was like hot.
Yeah.
Hot. Burn my mouth. I am 37 years old now, and I'm like, my mouth wants, my tummy can't handle. So, like, I'll eat it, and I'll be like, fine. I'm like, it's not even that hot. And then, like, an hour later, my stomach will be like, I hope you don't have any fucking plans for the day because you're going to be curled in a fetal position.
You hear that. It sounds like there's some kind of like rusty pipe works that has a problem, and you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, it sounds like my stomach's haunted for just a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I like a little bit of spice, but not too much.
At this day and age, the only spice I can handle is the Spice Girls.
Oh, what about nutmeg?
Yeah,
like
just
cinnamon.
Too spicy for me. Pumpkin spice.
Oh. Well, before we get, I'm sorry, I'm a little off my rocker today. I feel like I forgot how to do a podcast in a 1 week time. Before we get to the news, we got the big Sony State of Play that happened. I should say that TGS is happening right now, and there's a lot of news from that. All that's going to be next week, because if we were to put all that on top of what I've already got,
we would never stop podcasting.
It would be the longest.
We don't want to run
podcast.
long, Jeff. You and I hate running long on these podcasts.
Yeah. But before we get to that, I watched a movie last week, and it was not Korean, which I've been watching a lot of Korean stuff recently.
Nice.
So.
This one was French.
Yes. This one was Germanish.
Germanish? Okay.
I watched that Cuckoo movie.
Oh, how was it? I really want to see it.
It was interesting because it was. I saw a review of it that got me thinking a lot. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. So this is a movie about like a young woman who her family is moving to the Bavarian Alps to build like a vacation expansion, like to this hotel that's up there.
Okay,
and it's like her mom, her dad, and then her dad's like new wife, and then the dad and wife have a daughter, but her mom is like a different lady, and she feels very disaffected. She's like a teenager, and there's like a really creepy like German guy that runs the current place where they're staying. So they're staying.
So is there like a sense of isolation because she's not? Does she speak the language?
So there's a sense of isolation, but it's more because it's like the whole thing is remote, right? Because they're at like a vacation property in the mountains, as opposed to.
So it's The Shining?
Sort of. Okay. It's sort of The Shining. And so like it's just like there's a lot of weirdness of just like what is happening here? Like what is happening here? And the thing that I liked about it quite a bit was that I don't want to go too far into it because I'm trying to think of like. The movie's not very coy. Like you get a good idea.
Most horror movies are not.
Well, the thing is that all the trailers for this made it seem like an A24 horror movie, which could be like, oh, it's 90 minutes before you see a hand, and that's the scariest thing in the entire movie. Yeah. I watched that. What was that? Lamb? I watched that movie.
That's not a horror movie. I don't know what it was supposed to be, but I don't. I know what it's not.
But it was interesting, and the thing is that. When I watch a movie, a lot of times I'll take a bunch of breaks.
Yeah.
And I can usually tell how into a movie I am because I will either be watching, I'll be like, okay, I can take a break every 30 minutes and like, okay, how close to 30 minutes are we? Whereas this one, I was like halfway through the movie before I even realized that I hadn't like gone outside and smoked. So it did move, like stuff kept happening.
Yeah.
Like, the main actress, she was good.
Hunter Schafer. She's from. I know her from Euphoria.
Okay, I had no experience with her before, but she was very good as this kind of disaffected like teenager that just is like, I don't want to be here really, et cetera, et cetera. And then it really like kind of kicks into high gear like about halfway through, and it just starts kind of going. It was
Spooky?
pretty good. It was it was like spooky-ish. Like if you've seen
like high tension or like
it's kind of a monster thing.
Ooh.
And the monster itself is like okay.
Yeah.
Like when you finally get a chance to take a really good look at it, it's not like the best thing of all time.
Yeah.
But it's kind of an interesting idea. The strangest thing is I read a review of it that said this would have been a better movie if it was not trying to be a neon, because by neon, or it was put out by neon. If it was not a neon A24 movie, but if it was like a pulp movie that was having a little bit more just like nasty punk rock good time, that instead of being this very austere, like very kind of creepy cinematography,
they went a little too art housey for what they were,
that it should have been more just like fucking punk rock soundtrack, balls to the wall, same story but just a little like presented in more of like a green room splatter flick kind of thing, as opposed to this very again, like very austere shots of countrysides with like ominous noises playing over it type of stuff. So and I think I agree with that. I think it would have been a better movie if it had been a little bit more funky and gross,
a little more hip and cool.
Like they were sort of coy about some of the stuff that would have been more, that could have been more like body horror-ish. Like I actually think a better movie in I don't want to give away the plot too much, but there's another movie. What was it called? There was another movie that this reminded me of in some interesting ways. I think did the kind of weird like social horror movie with a monster that actually represents something else. It's a movie about the girl gets an egg and then she hides it in her room and it turns into this giant egg and it hatches like this bird monster that she hides like in her closet.
Oh my God, I can see the trailer in my head and I can't think of the name of it.
And that was really all about that was a really interesting movie about because in that movie, the main girl, her mom was like an influencer. And so a lot of it was like focusing on, because the bird creature in that movie starts to slowly kind of morph to look more and more like her, and it's one of those kind of like doppelganger, like the mom wants this perfect daughter but she can't quite measure up, and then you have this thing that becomes kind of the outlet for all her negative emotions. And so a very like Babadook, we're doing social metaphors here type of thing. And I think that one was better about that, whereas this one, I'm trying to think if it had anything to say. I don't think it was saying it all that well. And so in that case, you might as well just go for like bloody go for shock
like
value,
the fun, or the eye catching.
So it was good, but not like I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody go out and spend the full, like you rent it for $6, but I'd say wait for it to be on Shudder. Like it's fine, a cut above like some of the stuff that I've watched on Shudder that I thought was like pretty good. Like it was better than that, but it didn't really. I feel like we got like a few minutes here. I feel like there's been a real stall in the output of A24 thoughtful horror stuff. I feel like a lot of the what do they call it, like the real highbrow horror, your It Follows and the Babadooks and the stuff that made such a big impact 10 years ago, that there's some stuff that kind of apes that style but doesn't have as much thought behind it.
I think you're not getting the what's his name, Ari Aster treatment on everything. I think people don't realize that that vibe is it's all A24 because all of Ari Aster's movies were A24 or are A24, and also I think Mike Flanagan has that vibe too, but he did a lot of those Netflix horror TV shows. And also Dr. Sleep.
Maxine was the last one, and I didn't think
I still haven't watched any of those.
I didn't think any of those really lived up to their
but horror doesn't like staying in one spot for too long. So
This Love Lies Bleeding was pretty good.
I saw the TV Glow is on HBO Max, and I swear to God, I'm going to go watch that shit as soon as I get home. I've been dying to watch it, and we kept getting... Max does this bullshit thing of where it will be like new releases, and the movie will show up, except it's just the fucking trailer. And they go, oh, actually, just kidding. It comes out on the 20th. And we're just like, son of a bitch. Like, I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah,
but I do want it.
I guess there's still some of that stuff out there.
I think there's some, because there's a certain way that some people are telling stories. And I think it just fits that.
Yeah.
But there are also people trying really hard to ape it and not actually putting the heart behind it.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like horror's already shifting away from that. I think you're getting the like.
What are the big? I guess Longlegs
was the bigger one. This one was one everyone was looking forward to, but I haven't heard anybody talking about it.
Yeah. It had a good trailer, but then again, also the trailer was cut in a way to make it seem like this cerebral thing. But then when you go and you actually look at what if you zoom out from the plot and go like, it was kind of like, once I started seeing this stuff in horror, I couldn't stop seeing it, right? Yeah. Like in Smile, where it was like, oh, the Smile, this idea of just like, when you being seen and like the way that people interact with you and how you're supposed to be presenting like this face to the world, even if it's not like entirely authentic. But it really didn't have anything to fucking say about it. It was more just like, it kind of like brushed up against that. And I was like,
Smile, much like, oh God, I can't remember. Lights Off and a few of the other ones are these, a series of horror movies based on, shorts. Like somebody made a short film and somebody was like, give that person a movie, make that into a movie, and then it's not good. It's meant to be like 15 minutes. It's not meant to be 2 hours.
It doesn't have enough meat to sustain itself.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these and we'll move on after this. A lot of these, I feel like I keep watching them and there's either ones that have something interesting to say, but they aren't even remotely scary.
Yeah.
Or they're scary a little bit, but in a cheap way that doesn't really have anything to say. And I think the horror that really catches us the most is something where it's like you're either tying into something really primal that people haven't considered before, or it's got such an interesting tie to some other part of humanity that like it just sticks with you. It like disturbs you. Like I've always said that Hereditary didn't stick with me very much, and I think it's because I listened to a podcast where somebody was making somebody watch that, and they kept talking about how the fucked up family dynamic in Hereditary was close to their own fucked up family dynamic, whereas like I come from a repressed family, so none of that shit was relatable to me. It was more just like, oh, here's a fucked up family. But I think I think the same way that Midsommar connects to people who have had like really bad relationships, right?
I mean, that was one of my absolute favorite movies, and I can only watch it like once a year. Yeah, because I had an emotionally abusive boyfriend for 4 years of my life. Yeah. And I've been depressed enough to connect with the suicidal ideation that was like kind of throughout all of it. Right. So like it connected with me. Like I was devastated the first time I watched that movie. Yeah. John was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like I wasn't scared. I was just like emotionally impacted by it.
Right. Because it hooked you.
Because it's one thing to give you a character that you can relate to just by being like a good actor will make you relate to a character whether you are connected with their scenario or anything. It's another when you are also connecting to the scenario, right? Because then you can place those emotions already. Yeah, and so it's like, amps. No,
it just amps and amps.
Well, it felt like Get Out, where you're just like go into the sunken place. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh no, here we go.
Well, let's see. Before we get into this, have you watched or seen or done anything of note that you would like to talk to the people about over the last week?
No, I think the only thing I watched recently was a 1959 movie called The First Man into Space, which is just about a man in going into space. He goes further than anyone has in a like rocket ship. And he's
the
like
first man into space.
First man into space.
Into space. Okay.
And it's a kind of a hokey 50s monster movie.
It's all on YouTube.
It's all on YouTube.
You can just watch the entire thing.
Yeah,
on
I think I
YouTube.
watched it on like Pluto.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, definitely. But so the whole movie, it's like brother is in charge, and then one of the brothers is going up in the rocket. So like one's the talking them through everything.
I think we talked about this, didn't we?
I brought it up briefly when we talked about when we were playing Squirrel with a Gun.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so he becomes so the brother ends up like essentially being encased in moon dust. And his suit looks stupid. I understand. It's a space suit covered in moon dust,
Sure.
but his face for 1950s horror.
Yeah.
It's essentially a burned face with moon dust encrusted on it and one eye out.
Yeah.
If you take it within context of what it is, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Like, it's real slow. You don't really catch this monster until you get to, I think, like the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
And it's only about an hour and 15 minutes long.
It's a very short movie, which is why I put it on. I was like, I want to watch it. But
Sure.
yeah, like he disappears. So half the movie is just the brother looking for him.
Okay.
And then they keep finding like dead bodies because he's covered in like moon dust. They're like moon dust like diamonds and or meteor dust, and it so people are like scratched all the way across because he's just essentially slapping them but with diamond hands. And so he's just like shattering people, and then that's it.
All right. Yeah, go check it out on YouTube.
Yeah,
First
I
Man
mean, it's
into
free.
Space.
You want to get into just watching some weird spooky stuff.
A lot of times they've got old movies are just like straight up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on the Criterion Collection or something, and Darwin Cook did the art for it, and just for the like cover of the poster or whatever, and it looked cool, and I was like, this whatever it is, I guess I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
And it was okay.
All
It was
right.
good enough to try.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Sony State of Play.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of things that are on YouTube,
For free.
that you can watch right now. So let's see. I don't know. You know what? Let's just go through it.
Okay.
I was like,
Are we gonna go in like a specific order?
we're just
Best
gonna
to
go.
worst?
We're gonna go in chronological order. But the big thing here is that I wanted to see if we could get through this in this segment. So we got about 25 minutes to run through this. But it was a little slight. So we started with Astrobot. Astrobot is getting some speedrun levels and 10 new bots.
Nice. Have you played more of it?
I beat it. The only thing I didn't do was, like a lot of modern video games, it has like now you've beat the game, and there's one last really fuck off hard level, and I spent like a few hours trying to get through it, and I couldn't, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave this alone and go move on with my life.
I'm going to count this as done.
But they've got some new bots. They've got a little Helldivers bot.
That's cute.
And the Stellar Blade Eve bot. And a bunch more. And this is all free. So,
Nice. So, yeah.
Astrobot, gift that keeps on giving, fall of this year. Good news for everybody.
Fun.
Yep. Astrobot's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, we had a blast playing it.
Yeah. I played it over the next few days a lot. Let's see. From there, we got a game called The Midnight Walk.
I saw the trailer for this.
Yeah, this is from the people that made a game called Lost in Random.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I played it, where it was like the dice thing, where it was like the queen of dice, and like everybody gets assigned a dice, and like the one character, the sisters.
Dude, I remember that.
Yeah. Same game, except this one is like clay. It's all claymation.
Yeah, and it's spooky.
And it's spooky, and then you can also play it as a VR game or as just a regular PS5 game.
I feel like I don't want to be in a
in a claymation.
VR claymation world.
Well, especially not with these fucking guys. These are real weirdo, creepy creepersons.
Yeah. But I love it.
Yeah. So it's interesting because the frame rate in this trailer keeps like moving. Like sometimes it seems like it's a little bit herky jerky because of the the stop animation, but then sometimes like here in the PSVR, I think they realize that you have to have a high frame rate or
They're
people
like,
get ill. So you play as a little dude with a little pot with fire. I think the whole thing is the world.
Is he like a cauldron or something?
Something like that. I read a synopsis talking about how like the world doesn't have fire anymore, and so you're kind of like walking around like distributing fire to people and making decisions about it. And so part of the messed up state of the world is the fact that like the flames are gone.
Yeah.
And you're like the last little flame bearer guy.
Yeah, this is my vibe.
It's if this was a movie, I would definitely be putting it on my list to watch.
Yeah. 100%. Whatever that slug thing is at the end, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That person with the hollowed out eyes with bags under it, that will be that's me.
Everyone tag yourself in the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting because Lost in Random was like it looked really good, but the play wasn't grabby enough.
I remember we were like into the concept, but not having fun.
Not the execution.
That makes sense. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. So, I don't think this actually has like a release date. Yeah, it's just got a wish list thing. So, let's see from there. We got a trailer for a game called Hell Is Us. This one, hopefully, is for the Jeff. Because this looks like Death Stranding and Dark Souls had a baby. It's this real kind of weird, like World War II, almost like dystopian thing. You got like I haven't seen a mass grave with an excavator next to it in video game trailers that often.
Is that not just like an everyday occurrence, Jeff?
No, that's not something I see every day. But then like it seems like it's like a third person action game, and it's got a lot of weird stuff when they talk about it in the trailer where it's like people turn into these like they've got
hollow men.
Yeah, these like they're the faces are like holes.
Yeah. His chest was a hole too.
The character you play is dressed an awful lot like the guy from Death Stranding. He's got this kind of like poncho over a hat, and then he's got kind of like a power sword and like a little drone, and I don't know, everything about this, like the visuals are very unique, and then it looks like it's got a fair amount of action to it as well, where there's some, sometimes you get games like this that look really good but then they don't end up being
then it's just like you gotta sneak from here to there or whatever, and it's
whereas here, just like the imagery in here is really striking.
Yeah, it's also really interesting because like the environment looks very like, I mean, it's very post-apocalyptic, so it's kind of grimy and dirty, but those like monsters they almost look like mannequins or porcelain or something. Right,
because they're all just like stark white with the giant like kind of Uzumaki faces.
Yeah. It looks cool. I really like it.
Yeah, me too. Even though it is Nacon, aka Big Ben, and that means it's going to be I don't know. I don't like that company, but they do sometimes publish stuff that I end up liking. I need to look up this
Rogue Factor
developer. Yeah, Nacon was the one that tried to take the Sinking City away from Frogwares. And they like literally downloaded a Wares copy and then reposted it to Steam after they refused to pay Frogwares, and they took it offline. So I don't like these guys, but you don't get to choose a lot of times. Let's see. After that, I don't have a whole lot to say about this. This is a Metro VR game that has been in development for a little while.
Sorry, the trailer just had a floating hand waving at the.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm an invisible with a glove on.
A lot of times they do that. I think it's because when they try to put an arm, when they try to connect an arm to the hand,
it doesn't have anything to connect in it.
Wiggle all around and get all messed up. So it's more immersive just to have invisible arms.
That just seems weird.
But yeah, this looks like Metro, but VR. I'm not the biggest fan of the Metro series, even though everything about this looks fine.
Yeah.
I'm just when somebody asked me, they're just like, hey, do you want to play a VR game where you're in like a gas mask in an abandoned sewer in the post-apocalypse, like switching out your air filters and fighting like mutants? And I'm like, not really. Not particularly. I'm pretty good.
I feel like I could live without that.
It's okay. But that's coming to PSVR 2 November 7th. So people look forward to that.
Just in time for Christmas.
Let's see. After that, we got some of this is like I really am just glossing over it because this is Arcade Chronicles. This is like there was an MMO, a medieval like real-time action MMO called Arcade, and this is like the prequel or something to it. I tried looking it up and then I realized that I don't really care. So,
oh man, I got halfway into Googling and I was like, you know what? Delete.
Like,
I'll go ahead and close the tab. Won't even delete it.
There's a lot of like if this had been a single player game, I would be mildly interested because it's kind of got. You see a lot of games these days that have this weird kind of blurry, glossy, looks the same as a lot of other shit.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing in here that's really standing out. Like, okay, it's a third person game and you're playing as a guy with a sword and there's big bosses and you got to work together to fight them. I don't know. Like sometimes you could tell me like, oh, the best one of these is X and I will go try it. But for the most part, because it has to be an online game, it necessarily has to have an element that requires collaboration with other people. And I don't like other people.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to other people.
Most people suck.
Yeah.
Except you, if you're listening to this podcast.
True. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Coming next year. Power World finally out on the PS5. This was pretty well known.
Aren't they getting sued?
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Okay. Oh, sorry, jumping ahead.
No, that's all right. But this is just they're putting Power World on the PS5. About damn time.
Yeah.
It's good. Do that.
Hell yeah.
So it's a very strange trailer because it's like very smooth. It's a lot smoother than I remember Power World looking in a new trailer. So, and that was out the day that that was out last week. So it's already out.
It's now.
Let's see. From there, we got there's an old JRPG called Lunar, and they're remastering the first two Lunar games and putting them out for the PlayStation, as well as I think this one's a multi-platform one. A lot of these are multi-platform. This is just an old PS1 JRPG.
It looks like an old PS1 JRPG.
It's got a bunch of animation to it, and it's got like they're putting in 16:9. They're putting in some quality of life stuff. I'm sure that they'll run the animation through an AI upres to make it 4K or whatever.
Yeah, make it beautiful for your eye holes.
Yeah, spring of next year. This I think was already announced, but they had the trailer for
My Stars and Garters. Is that Mona Lisa?
Yep, Shredder's Revenge has a new DLC called Radical Reptiles that adds Mona Lisa and who's the other guy? Mondo Gecko. As well as a few other things. So I'm kind of surprised.
Mondo Gecko was voiced by Paul Rudd in the the new animation. I think so. It's real vibey. It's real fun.
I think the game came out like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's been a hot minute for sure.
It's fine. It's a good game, but there's only so many times I want to play a beat 'em up, and adding a new character isn't exactly the same as like adding a new character like Mortal Kombat.
The second they add Mona Lisa, all of a sudden you're not interested. I finally get a mutant, a lady mutant, and all of a sudden, who wants to play this game? Just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's how I roll.
Yeah, 100%. That's it.
Get those chicks out of my games, man. Let's see. Speaking of games with chicks in them, we got the brief trailer that in the new Sonic game they're adding a like DLC level with Shadow that is based on the movie, and then Shadow in that segment is voiced by Keanu. So it's like a specific movie tie-in, a little like it's not the whole thing, but just like a little level that's based specifically on the like it's like a little bit more realistic looking.
Yeah.
So there you go. From everything I can see, I don't know what the thing is. You Sonic the Hedgehog fans must be real. It must be hard being you guys because it seems like Sonic the Hedgehog consistently is either putting out the best or the worst fucking game of all time. Okay, from there we got a trailer for Fantasia Neo Dimension. This is a game that was already out on Apple Arcade, made by Hironobu Sakaguchi, who made like some of the most well-known Final Fantasy games of all time.
Okay.
And the whole thing with this was that they made these live action dioramas. Like they made these backgrounds are actual dioramas.
Oh, is that why it feels like a tilt shifted image?
Yes.
Okay.
And then so all the stuff in the background is real, and then the characters and the enemies and stuff are all CG. This was an Apple Arcade exclusive for a while, and I don't think it sold really well because of it, but they're finally putting it out on modern consoles. It's coming out on December 5th on PlayStation. It does have something that I really like about it. I couldn't really get into the story, but it has the ability when you're like running around in the world to basically like the random encounters that you were going to do, you can hit a button to like bank them, and then like you just keep like collecting them.
Yeah.
And then you have like 40 low-level dudes in your bank, and you just go, okay, I want to fight them.
Yeah.
And so then you have a fight with
So like if you're like, I need to grind for something or something, you can do that? Or?
well, instead of getting interrupted, you're
Yeah.
just like, I'm going to save this. I'm level 300, right? Like, I don't want to face these guys. Just put them in the bank. Put them in the bank. And then once I've got like 70 of them, I'll just kick all their asses at once. So, which to me is like an interesting way to deal with that problem, but it also brings up the question of like, why do you have to do that? If that's so unfun, why don't you just take that
out? Once you hit a certain level, you should be allowed to skip encounters if they're below you. Like if their level is lower and you're going to win no matter what. What's the point in doing it? It's neither fun nor is it helpful.
Some games do that. That new Metaphor Refantazo game, the one from the Persona team that's real crazy looking, has a thing I noticed where like you can see the monsters in the world, and any monster that's below you, if you touch them, they just pop and you get the XP for them. Like they don't make you do it. So literally, like, you know, if you're level 5, anything that's level 4 or below, you don't have to fight that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good. Thank you. We should be making strides in this direction.
The idea of banking that many battles, though, reminds me of the Cybermen and the Daleks going after each other.
Right.
Like you will kill 500 of us with 5 Daleks. We will kill 500 of you with one Dalek.
This is not war.
You are superior in only one regard. You die better.
My favorite is this isn't war. This is pest control. Fucking Daleks talk shit like nobody
I know,
else.
Dude.
All right. From there, speaking of talking shit, Dragon Age: The Veilguard. We got a big chunk of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. There's a story this week. I didn't get it because I was just getting too much about like. It's so weird how sometimes weird factions of video game people line up where it was like they were showing off the character creator for Dragon Age Veilguard, and they were showing the boob slider for the lady models, and they turned it all the way up, and the person had like, you know, kind of medium-sized testicles.
They were like, those are rookie numbers. You got to bump those numbers up.
And so, like, you know, the fucking chuds online were like, that sucks. I want fucking big tittied elf ladies. And then like, and then the other side, like the, you know, the more progressive people started writing think pieces about like, hey man, I'm a lady with giant tatas and I want to make myself in this game. Why can't I make myself in this game?
I'm personally on the side of if you're going to add the slider, you should go for broke.
Make it like, put that Saints Row shit in there, baby.
You know I like Saints Row. Like you just got to go for it. You put in a slider. You let me make my monster. You don't worry about it.
Yeah, you let me pull that, turn that shit all the way up, and I'll let you know when I'm done sliding it. So we got a little gameplay part of Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm not the biggest Dragon Age guy, and like the cutscene part, like I don't know, that part looked pretty good. There's something about the characters that's a little strange, where they're like. All the environments are very detailed and the shading is very detailed, but like the faces of the characters are very smooth. Like they're just, you know, like a lot of modern video games are putting like pores and hairs and stuff.
Yeah, these are.
Whereas even these people, like I don't know, that person has like freckles, but their face is very like simple. It's like they went into Photoshop and used the smooth tool a little bit, but
they all have the beauty filters from Instagram on there.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So they showed a fight with a dragon. It was okay.
I don't like the dragon design.
Yeah.
That dragon's got a lumpy face, and I don't like his lumpy face.
I was a little concerned about the fact that they had to keep crossfading, and when the character hits the dragon, like hardly any life comes off.
Yeah.
And the fact they had to keep crossfading, I'm like, how fucking long is this fight when you're not crossfading?
It was just a very quick 2.5 hour battle.
Yeah. Like, this doesn't seem like an especially dynamic battle. I don't know, man. I'm not really qualified to judge Dragon Age because it ain't my shtick. I've never been able to get into them. I'm an Elden Ring man. But I don't know. I'll give it a shot. Like, this is supposed to be kind of a new beginning, and
you want the new beginning? I am the new beginning. Sorry.
We'll see. I don't know. Is this interesting to you at all? Like,
no, man. I'm so wildly distracted by the weird
lumpy dragon.
What's with his face? If Rocky Dennis was a dragon, this is what he looked like.
He's got like ice.
Is it ice?
I think he's an ice.
It looks like, I thought it was like bone matter or
Corius
something.
the Eistalon.
Oh, I didn't read his name.
Whatever that means.
Sorry, Corius.
But see, they do all this work. This may not have been the thing to show off because they do all this work fighting
I didn't
this
even
dragon.
notice the neck detail. Why didn't they get more neck noodles?
I don't know.
Oh, here's a
and then here's
dragon.
a second dragon, and then like some kind of like demon guy comes out.
What the fuck?
And starts slapping people around with his tentacles or lady. I don't know what it is. And then like. So, and then they're just like, now the real fight begins. And I'm like, so all that I watched was just like worthless? It was like the beginning? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, the game comes out at the end of October. Like, it comes out on Halloween. So, I don't know. Weird. Okay. Amanda.
Yes.
Alan Wake 2 expansion.
Hell yeah.
Alan Wake 2 expansion.
Yes.
The Bureau of Control built a house in Bright Falls called the Lake House.
I've already heard theories.
Yep.
I've already heard so many things.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did read a thing that apparently this is not... you're not going to be playing as Jesse Faden. You're playing as another character.
We're guessing Estevez.
Oh, okay.
Because
that makes sense.
it's definitely somebody from the Bureau.
Oh, yeah. Kieran Estevez.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the lady from the police station.
She was part of the
FBC.
Yeah.
I like what's going on here. It's got more Control vibes than Alan Wake vibes, but it's still got Alan Wake vibes.
Yeah, and it's horror. Like, it's clearly, they've openly said there.
But there's a big cube, and then the jump scare of people yelling at you, and I'm like, okay,
man,
right,
and they
sure.
jump scared the fuck out of us in that game, so you know it's gonna get us.
It's true. Every time we thought we were done, and it's coming out in October.
Yeah,
so.
the running theory is it's gonna come out when the physical release comes out, so that when the physical release comes out, they'll be like, and you
the
also
full
get
edition.
that.
Yeah. Good.
But I don't know. That's not me knowing for sure. That's just what people are making assumptions
You heard
for.
it here. Confirmed. Amanda's inside sources say it's coming out with the physical release.
I am in Sam Lake's DMs.
Let's see. From there, Hitman is coming to PSVR 2. Hitman's been on a lot of different VR platforms. I think it was on PSVR 1 and the Vive and other stuff. Now it's coming to PSVR 2. I don't know if it's weird, Amanda, but I have absolutely no interest in playing Hitman in VR because it looks like it's way more of an action game because you can't see behind yourself in VR.
You can't like plot things out properly if you're in VR.
So like this whole trailer is just a lot more like, I mean, you could do all the violence of Hitman, but like
this is just if you want to murder people up close and personal.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try though. Maybe pull it up in PSVR and see. It's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff though that are doing in this that you can't do in the main game.
Yeah,
which is a nice testament. Like blocking a bullet with a frying pan or shooting somebody around a corner.
Yeah, that's delightful.
So this December, PSVR 2, Hitman World of Assassination. Also, since it came up, I didn't bring it up, but since it came up, if you've not played the World of Assassination, you should go play the World of Assassination. All three. 1, 2, 3. Play them all. Then play the escalations. Then play the fucking...
And then play it all again.
Play it all again. Then play it with Amanda. It's real fun.
I'll come over to your house. We'll hang out.
Let's see.
Only if you have coffee.
Yeah. From there, this got leaked ahead of time, but they're putting the Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 out, and they've remastered them.
Cool.
I don't know if you know this. These are very, very popular games from like the PS2 era.
Yeah, I like faintly remember the imagery of it.
It's Raziel. He's like a vampire, and he got wings, and then like Kain, the head vampire, was like, nobody gets something that I don't already have, so he literally rips his bottom jaw off so he can't feed, and then he breaks his wings and they throw him in this like pit, and that's when you have to come in this pit, you're fighting monsters, you're going through dungeons.
Yeah.
They seem in this trailer like they really didn't want it to be as dark as it was.
Yeah.
Like everything's very lightened up.
Maybe they were like, you can't see what's happening.
Maybe.
You know, you lose the details or something.
Yeah. I've never been a fan of this franchise.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some people really, really, really dig this. And, you know, if that's your bag, then I'm glad that you're going to get a chance to be able to check it out. Because it's coming out December 10th. It's a real puzzly game. It's a real, like, you're going into a room, there's like 2 enemies, but then you have to move blocks around to like put them on this pressure plate to open this door.
Yeah.
Like the focus of the game is more about puzzle rooms than it is about like combat. At least that's what I remember. I could be wrong. I'm sure somebody in the comments will actually me, but like
what? Our audience never.
I don't know. I usually ask for it. Like
He's always asking for it.
Let's see. Okay. Amanda.
Yes.
The Fear the Spotlight. This was a PS1 style horror game that was announced as one of the first suite of games that the Blumhouse game publishing division was going to do. We got a trailer for that. This is a really interesting game. I don't know if people know as much about this. It's about these 2 girls that are friends, and there's like a Ouija board or whatever. This came out last year on Steam, and they delisted it from Steam.
Why?
Because I think what happened is it was pretty good but not great, and then Blumhouse came in and threw a big bag with a $sign on the side at them and said, make it great. And so they took it down, and they're basically adding like more to it, smoothing out edges,
nice,
like taking the player feedback from when it was first announced, because I think it came out and it was played a little bit, but it never really like hit. And so now they're basically putting it together, getting it on consoles, and then putting it out October 22nd under this Blumhouse publishing label, which is great. I think all the stuff that they showed off looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And this is no different. I think that the PlayStation 1 chunky graphics is also a good horror medium. Like horror doesn't work quite as well with like a 16-bit graphic.
I mean, it depends, but I think sometimes going old school really does something kind of nice.
Yeah. Oh crap! How much more of this do we have? A lot. Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, there's a lot. All right, we're gonna go faster now. Let's go faster. So, okay, from there, we got a game called Towers of Agasba. This looks like it's like a third-person action game where you also build a town that's got some kind of funky art styles to it. So people wearing like masks, and it looks very pretty. It
does.
It's it's got some weird monsters, some weird people, and you got a glider. Nothing about this seems like it's completely standing out to me, but it's also doesn't seem like really offensive. So that's
agreed.
Coming to early access in November.
It looks like PlayStation was like, we need a Breath of the Wild type game.
Yeah. There's a big Fortnite controller. It's ugly as hell. It's got a bunch of like fake Fortnite graffiti on it.
Next.
We got a trailer for Dynasty Warriors Origins. This looks like a next-gen Dynasty Warriors game. I think the last Dynasty Warriors game was critically and commercially panned. Like it was like a bad game.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm remembering the last one correctly, I could be remembering the wrong one. This looks real nice, but it also just looks like a Dynasty Warriors game.
Never understood the draw for these, but I get...
You kill like 3,000 guys in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
But they don't really do very much. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is... It's interesting and it looks good, and I like it when franchises that have been around for a long time get like a glow up for the new generation.
Yeah.
Which is nice. So that's coming January of next year. From there, we got a big Monster Hunter thing that showed off like kind of changing world states.
Ooh, everything's moist.
Yeah, it's the very watery trailer. It also kind of tells a little bit about the story of this little kid whose parents were killed by like a big monster, and now he's like, that's the monster that killed my parents. I'm going to skip this because Michael and I will probably talk about this next week. Capcom did a bigger presentation at TGS on this.
Nice.
And he knows more about that than I do. I do like these little guys, though. A little crazy. I don't even know what they are.
Feral otters.
They look like Stitch.
Oh yeah, a little bit. I can see that. Yeah.
So
they're cute. They're like psychotic Ewoks.
It's so strange that this is what the new Monster Hunter looks like, where the last one was very cartoony.
Yeah.
Because it was a Switch game. So, whereas this one looks like every other game Capcom makes, because it's obviously made with like Resident Evil. Like, that's maybe one of the downsides to them using the same engine for everything, is that this looks like the Dead Rising remaster and Resident Evil and Dragon's Dogma 2, and every game they make kind of looks the same because of this engine that they use. But, or maybe just their art style. January 28th.
February 28th.
February 28th.
Faster.
Trying to get through here. Let's see. They talked about, we had a trailer for that Horizon, Lego Horizon Adventures.
I still don't know.
It's like weirdly goofy.
Yeah.
Like it's all like,
I mean, it's a Lego game. It's never going to be serious.
Yeah, but like that wasn't a goofy story. I don't know. I guess they've done it before.
It's a Lego game. I don't know. They're like, if your child wants to play a Lego game.
Yeah. They got like shit off like Sackboy costumes and Ratchet and Rivet, and it's very weird.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Sure.
October 3rd. Wait, is that? No. November 14th. No. Pre-orders start October 3rd. They're also remastering Horizon Zero Dawn. So they're putting out the original on the PS5, and basically just like, I think it's like when they did The Last of Us, so they're just kind of getting a PS4 game to look like a PS5 counterpart, so that there's like a parity between the two stories.
This is already such a pretty game, so you make it just a little prettier. It's not doing any harm or good. It just is nice to look at.
Yep.
You can play it on Halloween.
Play it on Halloween instead of Dragon Age. Also, they said if you have the PS4 version, you'd pay $10 to get the upgrade to
nice.
PS5.
That's cool.
So, Stellar Blade is getting some new content. One is a photo mode, which I'm sure
finally
people will use with just all of the care in the world and totally not be weird with it.
Yeah, you guys aren't going to get weird, are you?
Then there's a soundtrack. And then they teased, this is so weird. They teased like a Nier thing, like a skin or like a level or something for Nier Automata with 2B, which like makes a lot of sense. It's kind of strange though to me because like Stellar Blade, like, okay, I like Stellar Blade, but it's kind of a Nier Automata ripoff. It's about an android lady.
Now it's not. It's an homage.
Right. An android lady that comes down to like save the last of humanity, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And it's like, but now it's officially sanctioned because they're having like an actual crossover event. It talked about the games that are coming to PS Plus, whatever, Dead Space, WWE 2K, Doki Doki Literature Club. And then they also showed off these new like pearlescent controllers that they have.
Ooh, I don't care.
Plates. So they've got the pearlescent controllers and plates for the PS5. I really wish they'd make a PS5 controller that you could take the plates off of, because I don't need any more PS5 controllers. I've got 3 already, and none of them have been a problem for me.
I don't have 2 other friends to play with.
So, there's a green, purple, and white, and they're coming October 3rd.
Dang, the best Power Rangers.
Yep. They showed off a little montage of the PS5 Pro. Amanda, you want to know a secret?
Yeah.
I pre-ordered a PS5 Pro today. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it's for my job. I gotta have the good one.
There's like a difference between a regular consumer and somebody that does what you do. It's totally different.
Well,
scenario.
also, like, the other thing is that I wanted to be clear about, like, it's not like I'm gonna spend $700 on a new PS5 and it means I'm gonna have to stop going to concerts and like buying all those fancy dinners and like
you're like, oh no,
and buying all the clothes and the music and I'm like all I do is play my PS5. I should have the good one, right? Like even if it's like only 20% better, I spend so much of my day looking at PS5, it should be the good one.
I deserve a treat.
I deserve a treat, goddammit. Anyway, you know what? We're just going to stop there. I deserve a treat, goddammit. And that treat is this break that's coming up. So stick around. We got a few more things. And then we also have like actual news from the week.
Yay.
So, actually, we have one more thing from the PS5 State of Play, and then we will have the news for the week.
Nice.
So stick around, and we'll be back in just a minute. Yes, and we saved the best for last in Sony's State of Play. It's been interesting because I feel like this year there has been a bit of a lack of like big high profile, like oh my god kind of stuff, and this was a big oh my god kind of thing. There's a new Ghost of Tsushima game called Ghost of Yotei, Yotei or something like that. It takes place like 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, I didn't know it was such a big time gap.
Yeah, it's a radically different area, so they show a lot of action from it. It's got a lady protagonist.
Yeah,
and
not
she
just
got the
a lady, Erika Ishii.
I don't know who that is.
So she does. I know her from Dimension 20, which is like a D&D. Like play along series on Dropout.
Yeah.
But she also does Critical Role, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
So she's like uber nerd that's on TV or on the like internets.
Okay.
And she's cool as shit.
Everything in this trailer looked great. Like it looks like they took like all the stuff that they did with the first one. It's what you get a lot of times. I don't know if this is like a mini campaign or if this is like a full sequel. Like we don't have a lot of details on it just yet.
Yeah.
But it looks like they took everything from the first game and then just like amped it up. Like everything is still beautiful and amazing.
This looks gorgeous.
It looks like it does look like it was built from the ground up to it. What it reminds me of is that they like took the Ghost of Tsushima engine and then they put it on the PS5 and then they went like, how good can we make this look on the PS5 if we just like redo the whole thing for the PS5 basically. Like all the leaves in the wind and flat fields of
like
flowers and
on the horse with all the other horses and stuff. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. It feels like everything can be just a screenshot and just make that your wallpaper.
What it reminds me of is when Ghost of Tsushima was announced, like everything from that was so beautiful looking. And it was like the best thing that we'd seen around that time. And this looks like the best thing for this time. So, and it's got a 2025 release date. So, yeah, I think it looks incredible.
And nobody was mad about it, and everybody was happy.
We could spend 5 minutes. I don't know.
Nah,
the internet's all
we can, but
the fucking, you know.
I'm not going to dignify this bullshit with podcast time.
The thing, okay, so I've been like watching the whole like we're gonna fight against the woke blah 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 blah, and there's this viral spreadsheet that's been going around evaluating pretty much every video game as being like woke or not, and the thing is that if you are using that spreadsheet to determine whether you're going to play a game or not, you're going to be able to play like 8 games before this is all done.
Yeah.
Like Dave the Diver is woke because the main character is fat and there's a black chef. So that's woke. Like that's woke, I guess. Like
God damn, that's a crazy okay.
Like once you start digging down into how far that discourse has gone into deciding whether a thing is woke, it's like, well, that's a lady character in a game that used to have a man character, so that's woke. And it's like, what? This isn't it's not like,
but it looks cool as shit.
It's like, not the same game. I don't. Anyway,
exhausting.
The whole thing is, you put it correctly, exhausting. I will look at it for a few minutes and then just go like, I can't with this.
Yeah. The only thing I saw was a bunch of people being like, Erika Ishii already blocked me. What the fuck? I saw one tweet that was like, I don't even know why this bitch blocked me. And it's like, I think I can figure it out.
That's the other thing. I've talked about this a lot of different times, is that like Erika Ishii is the voice of the main character, and some people don't like her politics online. But here's the thing, like, she didn't write the game.
Yeah.
She didn't make the game.
Yeah.
She went into a booth and was hired to deliver lines for the game. Are those lines?
Well, it's her face.
Well, and it's her face.
Yeah, she did the
But like, I saw her haircut. It's not like this character has her haircut, the shaved side, kind of stuff. Like, so man,
she's also, if I'm not mistaken, a voice actress, and so you've probably already played things that she's in.
Yeah, and so, but again, it's like, it goes back to, I had this thought a long time ago where it's like, how people got all mad about Jodie Whittaker on Doctor Who,
yeah,
and it's like, right, but Jodie Whittaker didn't write Doctor Who.
Yeah.
She was just on the show. If they came
but if people get an opportunity, they're going to be real pissed at a woman.
The lady that played Rose in Star Wars, she didn't write those lines.
Yeah.
She didn't come up with that story. She was cast in a role.
Yeah.
Like, if they came to me, I've always used this example. It's like, if I got a phone call and they were like, "Hey, Jeff, do you want to be the new James Bond?" And I was like, "Well, I'm like a 46-year-old white guy that's out of shape. I'm not even from Britain." And they're like, "We don't care.
Yeah.
We decided you're the best guy for the job." And I'd be like, "Well, fuck yeah, man. Fly me over. Get me a fat stunt double, and let's do this shit." And then people online are just like, this is the worst fucking shit. I can't believe they just picked this fucking overweight,
I can't believe
American.
He went with the Dick Van Dyke British accent.
Right.
For James Bond.
I can't believe they used AI to give him a British accent. But at the end of the day, I'd just be like, bitch, I was in James Bond. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to cash the paycheck. I'm going to buy 600 copies of the Blu-ray. And I'm going to tell my kids I was James Bond one time. And they're going to be like, "No, Dad."
Just the one time, because they were like, "No."
I'm going to be like, 4 years ago, I was James Bond. And they're going to be like, "No, you weren't. Also, we're babies, so we don't understand what that means." Like, why wouldn't you take this? Why wouldn't you take the opportunity to do something like this? Like, who cares? But anyway, I do find it exhausting. All I care about is whether the game is good or not. And the first one's good. And this one
looks good.
Looks fucking amazing. So, boom. That's where we are.
Boom, shakalaka.
All right. Now we're good. We've got 40 minutes and all these news stories. Fortunately, some of these blend together. So, let's go. First up, it's worth noting that one of the things that was announced kind of alongside of this was that PlayStation is doing a 30th anniversary collection. So they have PS Slims, PS5 Pros, and controllers that are all like the original PlayStation gray.
Yeah.
And then they have the little multicolored logo instead of just like the solid logo.
Oh, yeah.
So they got the red, yellow, green, and blue logo. I think this is stupid, because the original PlayStation was an ugly device. Really ugly. It was gray.
You know what? This is just making me think that there was a minute where people were talking about online, like TikToks and stuff, that there's a thing called millennial gray. And I'm starting to think that this all might have been the PlayStation.
There was a time where like electronics in gray was the norm.
Yeah.
Like, you saw a lot of stuff that was in gray. Anyway,
gray was great. Before gray, it was this weird yellowy white.
It was
like an eggshell.
Beige.
Yeah.
Everything was beige.
Yeah.
Tech was beige.
Yeah.
Beige monitors, beige computers.
And then everything went gray, and then Apple made everything white.
And then it went back to black.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. Like, I'm down for Obsidian.
These PlayStations cost $50 more than a regular PlayStation. You had to get online and reserve them. They're limited edition. They made a certain number of them. Their controllers you can buy the controllers. They also have a PS. It's called, I forget what the thing is. It's the thing that's looks like a Nintendo Switch where you can stream games from your PlayStation.
Yeah.
They made one of those. They made these USB cables that have the big chunky top on them.
Why?
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Do you guys remember nostalgia?
Right. They have PS5 Pros that have this. The PS5 Pro is $700. I know, because I just fucking put the money down to buy one. Right. The PS Pro 30th anniversary edition PlayStation Gray is $1,000.
I have to pay $300 more
for gray,
for an uglier PlayStation
for gray.
No.
Yes. I think this is terrible, to be honest.
I mean, there's a market for it. Okay,
here's the thing. I think I wouldn't have gone this direction. I would have made these very widely available. I would have produced the controller. I would have produced the panels that you could literally take off the PS5 and just let you buy those, right, to put on your own PS5 if that's what you want, along with like strips to change the color of the thing. I would have made this accessible to people instead of trying to get people to buy a whole new console. I've never understood the idea of like, we're going to put out a console with fucking Darth Vader on it, and you got to buy a whole new console. And I'm just like, fuck
like,
you.
Yeah, I have 17 consoles at home.
Right.
I can't say no to a collectible.
I mean, like, okay, here's the thing. If what you wanted was a PS5 and you didn't already have one, and you went to go buy one, and you could spend an extra $50 to get one that looks like this is less irritating of a color scheme than the ones that are like that controller that Fortnite threw up all over from the PS thing. It's not like a whole console full of Fortnite graffiti that's going to look stupid. It's still a solid color, but I still think this should be more accessible to people than like having to purchase this limited edition thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. When are we going to start getting into the translucent stuff again?
At the end of this podcast.
Are we genuinely?
At the end of this podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy. Now I have something to look forward to. I've been dreading this the rest of this entire podcast.
Before this podcast is over, I will use the word translucent about something that you can purchase right now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so we got some talked about how much it's going to be. God of War Ragnarok came out on the PC this week.
Oh, I didn't know it wasn't already out on the PC.
Nope. Sony's been slowly putting stuff on the PC.
Yeah.
This is the latest one. And this has become a big problem. So, okay, Helldivers 2 comes out. We have the whole fiasco with you got to sign into a PlayStation Network account.
Oh, right.
That made everybody really mad.
Yeah.
Then they turned it off. But they did say, okay, we've given you guys grace on this one. But when Ghost of Tsushima comes out on the PC, it is going to require a sign into the PlayStation account in order to play the online mode. If you want to play the offline mode, if you want to play the story, you don't have to sign in. But if you want to play online, you got to sign in. Okay.
Fairly reasonable.
Semi-reasonable.
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok is a single-player game, and you must be signed into the PSN in order to play it at all.
Wow.
Now, I personally think, that PC users have an unreasonable dislike of creating a new account somewhere that you have to log into.
Yeah.
Considering Origin, Ubisoft, Bethesda, like
I mean,
EA,
it's kind of fair. Like, goddamn.
the Epic Games Store.
Yeah.
Is they're just like, all I want to do is sign into Steam, and if you have a secondary login thing, then eat a dick. Like, I was logging into my Xbox account in order to buy Fallout 3 DLCs back when Xbox had the overlay where you had to log into your Xbox account.
Yeah.
So, like, this shit doesn't matter to me at all. But some of these new generation, I don't even know if it's new generation people or people like me that are just pissed off about it, or people that just never had to do it. They're like incredibly mad at this requirement. Like,
it's always been a nuisance, right?
Yes.
Like, no one's ever been okay or had a positive feeling when they like log in to play a game and then they have to log in once that game.
Yes.
Like, that's
I understand.
so
Yes.
annoying.
Now the big the kind of the counter argument for this is that there are 177 countries in the world where you cannot make a PSN account. They just literally, when you go to choose where your country is, they're not there. They don't have agreements. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Those countries still sell these games. So then you run into a problem of like, but why?
Yeah.
Like when Helldivers 2 came out and then Sony put that in, the first thing that Steam did was delist the game in all of those countries, because if you can't have the account in that country,
then how are you going to play it?
then how the fuck are you going to do this?
Yeah.
Personally, okay, so then if we go back again, we could say, I think that, I've said this before, I think this all happened because there's some person at PlayStation whose job is literally like, we need to get these PSN user numbers up. Every quarter we have to be able to show we've got 10,000 new active users on the PSN, and they're just like, well, that's fine. Shove it in all the PC games. And somebody's like, well, sir, the players hate that. And I was like, I don't give a fuck what the players think.
No, this
like,
isn't about the players.
Like, this is about my job. So this is a problem, and I think that, like, in order for Sony to be able to put it out there as a viable solution, the first thing they need is to make sure that there is not a single market where you can't make a PSN account. Like, that's the bare minimum. On the other hand, I also think that PC gamers I think that Valve should go out of their way to put a label on any game, like a very noticeable label. This game requires a Ubisoft sign-in. It requires a Sony sign-in. It requires a Bethesda sign-in. It requires an EA sign-in, right? This game has this extra sign-in requirement. And at that point, if PSN is available in all countries and Steam clearly labels these things, then I think that the Steam users need to just come to the thing of saying, then I'm not going to buy this game.
Yeah.
If it's that important to you, then I'm just not going to play God of War Ragnarok. If it's that fucking irritating, then you need to be able to stick to your guns and say, I'm going to do it. Like,
which
I'm not going to do it.
Gamers are not particularly well known for.
I just don't like the attitude. I just am so tired of the attitude of like, what? A slight inconvenience? This is a travesty, sir. I would like to speak with your manager. Let's start a hate campaign and a change.org petition and fucking see if Gabe will come on our side and say something on Twitter to Elon Musk to get fucking Sony shut down and brought in front of Congress. And it's just like, wait, what? Because you don't want to put in your name and address? What the fuck is this? Like, your name and address is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere online. Like,
it's the principle of the matter.
Right.
Yeah.
It's clearly not the principle. Anyway. But this then actually led to something interesting. Somebody went to Nexus Mods and created a mod that bypassed that by just saying, I'm offline all the time. Because you can't activate it if you're not online.
Yeah.
And it basically put a block between like the game and then Steam recognizing you're online, because they don't want it to be we've learned, the executives have learned that like if you try to make people have to be online all the time to play a single player game, that is not a recipe for happy consumers.
Yeah.
That people will not like your thing. But this got pulled.
Of course it did.
And the guy that made it pulled it because he put it up, and then it got so many downloads in such a short period of time. He is like, oh, it is just a matter of time before Sony comes knocking on my door to be like,
he's like, ha 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 ha! I thought me and my friends were going to enjoy this, but you guys went nuts.
Right, which is good. The person was cognizant enough to be like. Yeah.
I wonder if they were like, once I hit this number, I'll pull it down because it's going to be too high. And then it hit that number overnight. And he's like,
the impression that I get, because he put out a thing beforehand, or I don't even know who it is, but put out a thing beforehand saying that like if this worked, they were going to start working on getting Ghost of Tsushima to also be able to circumvent the PSN login. And the thing that I think happened is that this person put it up on Nexus Mods and GitHub. Somebody in the Steam forums said it was there and pointed it out, and that it was in the course of a day. It was like, you know, like your phone starts blowing up and you're just like, wait, how many times? This downloaded 30,000 times the last hour?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I know this is going to get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Like,
also, even if you like want it, that kind of success that fast is horrifying sometimes.
Yes.
You're just,
yes.
I don't want to be on a roller coaster.
It got pulled down. I do think there's some issues here, but, you know, I don't know. What are you going to do? Let's see. In other Sony news, the director of Concord has stepped down, which is, you know, relatively expected.
Yeah.
The thing that's weird is that apparently when they talked to the people, this is Ryan Ellis left and basically just said, I think he just preemptively resigned of like, whatever happens here, I'm probably going to be the fall guy for
so I'm just
the
going to go ahead
failure.
and bail.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Hope everything goes well. The thing that's weird about this is apparently the people that work at that studio still have no idea what's happening. Like, are they going to try to re-release this as a free-to-play thing? Are they going to fire everybody and close the studio? Like, what are they going to do?
I don't know why they wouldn't re-release it as a free-to-play thing.
Because it would require work and money. And if they released it as free to play, and it already has a reputation that people know, you could invest 6 months and $10 million into retooling it as a free to play game, only to release it and have it still not get any players. Like,
I don't know. You'd be surprised at the goodwill of an audience that we took it down because we're listening to you. We're changing it because we're listening to you. You know what I mean?
Yep. I don't get the impression they took it down, though, because they were listening to anybody.
No, I know, but
they took it down because there weren't enough players.
You still have enough time to spin it, though, if you keep it and change it, you know?
The thing to remember, though, is that Sony they're a weird fucking company. Like, Destiny is in a hard place after they just got they bought that company for like several $billion, and that game is like not doing very well. They don't have any first party games right now. Like Astrobot, I think, was the last thing that came out, but then before that it was Concord, and that was a huge, like, that, from all accounts, that game took like 8 years and $400 million worth of development, and it's just like nothing, like zero, because not only did they shut it down, but they also refunded everybody, and they didn't even ask, they just gave people their money back, like, so they just took a bath on that one. And they don't have a Last of Us, an Uncharted, a Ratchet and Clank, anything this year outside of Astrobot, which even if it does really well is not going to do Uncharted numbers.
It's not going to do big numbers,
or Horizon numbers or whatever. So they could be in a position just to be like, no, we're basically in a mode where we're cutting anything that's not making us money, and we're only keeping the green light on things like fucking Wolverine, like a game that will definitely make money. Because they let Naughty Dog work on, they had like a Last of Us multiplayer game they're working on for like 5 years, and they just cut that earlier this year.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
That doesn't even sound like a good idea. And then to spend that much time and effort and manpower and then be like,
Well, what's happened is that a lot of these projects started in 2019 and then got accelerated in 2020 when the entire video game industry had this huge, I got a graph that'll show you, had this huge boom because nobody could go anywhere, and so everybody was sitting around playing video games. People were spending tons of money, so they all beefed up staffs and greenlit 1 billion projects.
There's not like a position in this kind of industry where they go, hey guys, there's a pandemic. Pandemics don't last forever.
So I've thought about this a lot, and what I've come to is this. Like, if you're looking to the future and there's a potential crash that's going to happen, a maybe. Let's say it's a 50-50 coin flip about, is there going to be a crash? As an executive, if you start to cut back your costs in anticipation and there isn't a crash, you're fired.
Yeah.
And if you don't cut back and there's a crash, you're not fired. The people who are doing the work below you are fired.
Yeah.
Like, as an executive, you don't get fired. We've seen so many layoffs, and none of them have been the people that made the decisions that got people fired.
But haven't we seen a bunch of companies just like crumble under this?
Not crumble. What happens is that they slash workers, which then cuts their operating costs. So the dip in their profits is offset by cutting the wages, like cutting the workers, so they don't have to pay those wages. They don't have to pay health insurance. And you can always go back out into the industry and hire temp workers or hire people back on again. So it's always, there was a story a few years back about Blizzard where right before an earnings call, they cut a bunch of people. And then they went back right after the earnings call to show their stockholders how much their operating costs were how good their operating costs were, where they started hiring people back because somebody got roped up in the rehire, where they were like, oh, the person who fired me is not the person doing the rehiring. So they don't know that, like, I got fired a month ago from the position they're now trying to headhunt me into.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's such a fucking mess.
Yeah.
But
there needs to be something to clean that up. But that's stupid. But I'm not even asking them to be like, hey guys, just like, you should definitely not spend any money. But the idea, this is just the same thing. I don't know. I guess I've been seeing it since I was a kid, where there'll be a little bit of success and then there's always this bubble burst. Do you know what I mean? Where they're like, everybody loves like all these like website booms of the 90s and early 2000s, and then they all crumbled, and like watching it happen, and it's just like, you guys, come on, like, we keep watching it happen. You guys don't notice? Like,
the place where it doesn't happen is conservative companies like Nintendo that are very slow to act. They bet on very safe things. They don't chase trends, or if they do it experimentally. They also have very deep pockets, and they're willing to spend a long time figuring out what direction it goes. Or companies like Larian that don't have stockholders, where the stock is held by the people that run the company, because then they don't have to chase this 10% gain every quarter bullshit, which is unsustainable, which eventually, once that stops being sustainable, then it crashes the entire thing.
And it makes it fucking pointless.
Yep. And the people, and again, the people who pay the price are the workers.
Yeah, because the people, even if that business doesn't exist, they give themselves a tasty severance and then bail out on everybody else.
I got a story about that coming up. All right, let's get through this. Stellar Blade, the developer of Stellar Blade is being sued by in Louisiana. There is a production company called Stellar Blade, all one word. It is a Louisiana production company that makes shit fucking movies. Because I went and looked them up. This is going to be a nuisance suit that Sony and them are going to basically pay these guys off. Their logo is like this really crappity. It's not even on their website. It's this really crappity, it's in a weird. It looks like it's such a night. Here, let me see if I can see it. It's in like a 90s font, basically. No, it's not even in this article. It's so crappity looking, and so they're like, but the S is slightly different in it, and so because the S in the Stellar Blade for the PlayStation company is like drawn, they're like, well, it's got a different S. It's got a slightly similar color scheme, and okay, this person has a little bit of a point. Okay, this is a crappity little company.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I started thinking about this today, and I was like, it's fucking... Because here, let me tell you the juicy bits.
Yes.
You go to their website, and they've got these on-demand movies that you can look at, and it's Lenore and Rappaccini's Daughter, which are both based on, like, other people's work.
Yeah.
So they're literally making like crappity films based on other people's intellectual property rights.
Sure.
So it's a little like and also this Lenore, if you want to like rent it, it's $99 to rent.
It looks like it's that looks like garbage.
No, it is.
What's with the coloring on everything?
It is full fucking fuck off garbage. However, I started thinking about it.
Why is it color popped like that?
I don't know.
It's like everything's black and white except for like the dresses are red or they're blue or purple.
Anyway, I started thinking about it and I was like, what if there was a game called RageSelect? And it was a really popular game that was online. And every time anybody in the world tried to find RageSelect, all they could find was this video game.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find anything else. If it was called RageSelect, all one word, but if they typed in 2 words, the Google algorithm would be like, oh, you obviously mean this incredibly popular video game, right?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, so then my entire website and everything that I've done just goes like, because somebody named it something really close to my thing. And I was like, well, you got a little bit of a point.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit of a point there.
But be honest, you know that they just saw, they had like little dollar bill signs in their eyes.
I mean...
And we're like, we could make 14 movies with whatever they give us. Like, it'll be $100. It can be $100,000. We're gonna make 14 movies.
We're gonna make 14 movies. But like, you know what? Here's the thing: if the same thing happened to me, that's enough of a case in the United States
to do it.
Law to be like, let's do it, baby. I want Sony to write me a check for $500,000 and to get me out of their hair, and then I'm gonna go pay off.
You wouldn't even ask for $1 million.
Oh, I would ask for $50 million and then settle
and they're like,
for $400,000.
We'll give you $25,000 and a coupon for Whataburger. And you're like, you know what?
Like $25,000, all Sony games for free from now on. I'll take it.
That's funny. They're like, ugh.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then that brings us to Nintendo is suing Pocket Pair for copyright infringement for Power World. Now, this is an interesting one because what they are suing for is mechanics.
Oh.
So let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement compensation for damages on the ground that Power World, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes multiple patent rights. So this is not a like you copied our Pokemon suit. This is a you copied our mechanics suit, and most people tend to think that the reason is because you make balls in Pokemon that you throw, or in Power World that you throw at monsters, capture them, and then when you want to bring them back out, you throw them out via a ball, and they come out. And Nintendo filed a patent in, I think it was like 2016 for that mechanic for that Arceus game that we played, because it was the first time. Before that, there was no 3D game, where you could do that. So the question then becomes, in Japanese court, which is not American court, is throwing a ball in a 3D video game to capture a monster something that is specific enough that you can choose, that you can patent it, and nobody else can patent it?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because this is the tricky part with patent law, and one of the reasons that Nintendo is, when they are litigious, that they're very over-the-top litigious. This is a little, from a lot of legal experts, apparently, this is a little bit more out on a limb than they like to go. Because the thing is that in these cases, if your patent is too broad, then everybody can walk all over it and just say, whatever. Like, you patented walking in a video game. Well, nobody's going to
sorry. We're not all going to run now.
And if it's too narrow, then nobody else's games will ever infringe upon it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's walking along a tightrope made of candy, and you're like, well, nobody else is doing that, right? Like, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
The problem is that if it's too broad, a judge can then just say, that's too broad. You can't keep other people from doing that. That is too broad of an activity.
Yeah.
There has to be a common space of actions that people can go to. Like Warner Brothers copywrote the Nemesis system from the Shadow of Mordor.
Right.
Which, like, that's very specific, right? That's a very specific system of, like, even though the motherfuckers haven't done anything with it, it was a cool system.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, the thinking is, Nintendo doesn't tend to go to court unless they know they can win, because they're very scared of court because of the MGM Donkey Kong King Kong case that ruined MGM when Nintendo was like a baby.
Yeah.
However, it seems like they want to go after them for something.
Yeah.
And this is about as much as they can get.
What's it called? Like a shot across the bow? Like they're just trying to give them a little warning shot?
Maybe. But we don't have any real specifics yet.
Yeah.
Like, even the stuff with the patent that I talked about, that's just like conjecture from other people.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Pokemon has machine guns. It's not like Pokemon has base building mechanics.
I mean,
it's not like Pokemon has survival
if
mechanics.
If they're that specific, if the people that made Power World just were like, we're going to put in a patch, and instead of them being balls, they're going to be triangles. Do you think, like, they're like, well, fuck, that's
Maybe.
it? You know what I mean? Like, how specific? How would a change of that simplicity do anything? Or are they like fucked? Or are they?
See, I don't really know, but the impression that I get is that if something like that happened, it would be part of the settlement at the end, because it's not like you can be infringing on somebody's patent and then when they bring it to court, you're like, delete. Yep, no, I didn't do anything. Nope, nothing there. So, like,
well, yeah, I just, if they're like, hey, like, we don't want to pay you any money, but we will, you know what I mean?
They're
Whatever
probably gonna, if they lose, they'll probably have to pay. The question is how much time and effort Pocket Pair can put into this, because they did get a big chunk of money.
They had to know that something was going to come, though.
Yes.
Like, they spent a lot of time being like, no,
Yep. They basically came out with a statement saying that, like casting themselves as basically like, we're an indie developer and we were just like having a good time and like taking something that we love and putting together a game, and like Nintendo wants to come in here and tell you what you can and can't do in game development, and we don't think that's right, so we're gonna like fight back against them. Which, Nintendo is a large company that is litigious. They have a cuddly fucking wrapper around the outside, but
they're not super nice to anybody about anything.
They're a very conservative company, and they don't like people to fuck around with their IP.
Yeah.
And this is fucking with their IP, kinda.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
Just like a little. But I guess, like you give somebody an inch, they take a mile kind of thing,
Well, that's the other thing about copyright law, is that if you don't protect your copyright, you can lose it.
Yeah.
So if you don't aggressively defend it, then a judge can say, like, you can't
let like one person do it and then other people get mad when other people do it.
You can't let a dozen people come and just stomp all over your copyright, and then when that person comes in, you're like, okay, whoa, now you owe me $40 million. It's like, no, you set a precedent. So, but that's also in the United States, and Japan's entire legal system is very different.
Every time, so I brought up this news article to a few people, including our Discord.
Yeah.
And everyone had the same thoughts about it, which was if it's in Japan, they're fucked. If it's in America, they have a chance. And it's like, I think we don't really know, but that just seems
it's a very different system in Japan than it is in America. Japan doesn't have precedent the same way that America has, where once you rule on something, you can cite that previous case. Like cases tend to be done one at a time. Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to say. But I guess we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. This is Power World. Oh boy.
Skip it.
Sonic had a thing. Here's the. We're gonna go through real quick.
Okay.
There was the Sonic Battle Royale game that's basically Fall Guys with Sonic guys.
Yeah.
Is coming out. It has a release date now. This winter. Super Monkey Ball is getting some Sonic stuff. There's a bunch of merch for Sonic. Motorcycle helmets. Shadow the Hedgehog themed motorcycle helmets. I think that's kind of cool, personally.
I'm not against it.
Sonic is coming to Top Golf.
What the fuck? Sure. Sure.
Some kind of thing with rings and challenges and I don't know. Sonic, they're making a DC crossover thing where all the Sonic characters are DC characters. So Sonic is the Flash, Shadow is Batman, Amy is Rouge is Wonder Woman. I don't know what that is.
Sure.
There's a new trailer for Sonic X Shadow Generations, and there's actually a 3-part anime. The first part is out for that, and there was a little behind-the-scenes look. So I'm not going to stick too long on this. The trailer for Sonic X Shadow has very little to do with Sonic at all. It's all about Shadow and this like...
They're hyping up Shadow because Keanu Reeves is Shadow.
Well, it's like the year of Shadow. You remember when we had like the year of Luigi? Like Sega has like, this is like the darkest year or something. And it's like their like year of Shadow.
Like, all right, you weird goth furries.
Yeah.
Your time has come.
But it's all about Shadow fighting this like Cthulhu color out of space.
Yeah.
Like goopy tentacle monster.
Yeah, but it's cool. Like there's a point where the buildings he's running past swirl together
like Doctor Strange,
Inception style.
Yeah. I don't know. It's real weird. I hope you guys enjoy your Sonic game.
Yeah.
There's more interesting stuff to talk about. Okay. SAG-AFTRA had their video game voice actor strike that was going on.
Yeah.
Part of that was that it didn't involve games as service games that were currently going on right now up until a certain point a few years from now.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA has now come in and punitively added the Riot Games, the League of Legends people, as a struck company, but not for anything that they did. This is a very strange story.
Yeah.
Riot Games contracts with another company called blah 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 Formosa Entertainment, as they're like an outsourced company that they go to for like voice stuff and like acting and stuff like that.
Yep.
That company had a project that they couldn't get, that they were working on, where they couldn't get people to come work on it because there's a strike in progress.
Yeah.
So they tried to cancel the project, ? But there was a problem with that. So SAG-AFTRA then says that they moved it to a separate branch of Formosa that was a shell company, reclassified the project and started trying to hire non-union voice actors to come in to finish the project. Formosa doesn't really deny this and says they just didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, they're like, just because we found a loophole.
Yeah, but then because like Riot is like one of their biggest clients, I think SAG-AFTRA has now put the hammer down on Riot to be like, you need to control your boy over there, which is also a little like Riot didn't do anything. You know, it's this other company.
Right, but like if your patronage is going against the union, you kind of have to
yes.
If this is going back to the like you give them an inch they'll take a mile, like you can't just let them get away with it and then get mad at anybody else too.
Yes. So that's what's going on with that.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because I feel like we haven't heard very much about it. But then I saw this article and I read it. I was like, oh, that's a really weird story. Like,
yeah, that is
something we don't hear very often.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't have time to do this shit justice. Last week, Annapurna...
You wanted to take time to talk about Shadow.
I know. Last week, Annapurna Interactive, the arm of Annapurna that does video game publishing, had 25 people that work there. They published The Outer Wilds and Stray and a bunch of really high-profile games. They all quit en masse, and people were like, what actually the fuck happened here?
Yeah, like why?
And we got some new information about this. I'm going to try to sum this up, but I'm going to do it fast, and then we're going to have to go into overtime next time on the trailer part because I got some Ubisoft stuff that I want to show a graph. God damn it. Even though you guys can't see the graph. Okay, so here's the deal. The history of Annapurna is very interesting. Annapurna is owned by is run by a woman named Megan Ellison, I believe, who is the Megan Ellison started in 2011. Megan Ellison is the daughter of, I believe, Larry Ellison, who was the founder of Oracle, who's like a billionaire. She decided she wanted to be a movie person, so he gave little princess a bunch of money, and she went off to make Annapurna Pictures. Annapurna has had a mixed reputation. Early on, they didn't do so well.
Yeah.
In fact, there had to be a cash infusion at one point, and then they kind of came back. During the same time, they created Annapurna Interactive, which was a gaming arm.
Yeah.
And it was the head guy there was a guy named Nathan Gary. There was also a guy named Hector Sanchez that was put in charge. They were dynamite. They were just like knocking it out of the park with like picking these games. These guys had a really long, like these are like what you would call like hot shit producers, right? They really knew how to pick something that was going to be like game of the fucking year material. And they were just doing it consistently. They weren't falling down on any of this stuff. In 2019, Megan Ellison pulled back from public life and put Nathan Gary in charge of Annapurna.
Like the whole company or just the movie side of it or all?
The whole company.
Okay.
Well, he took control of the movie side, and then there's a few other names that I'm not going to get into because there's already too many names.
Yeah.
Some of the people that were worked in Interactive then moved up to take over Interactive, but he came in. Also, it should be noted, Hector Sanchez went to Epic Games. He left in, I think, 2017 or something around there. So Megan Ellison went completely radio silent during the pandemic, all the way up until like 2020, like this year, like 2023, 2024. In that time, Nathan Gary was running the entire thing. You do see a shift. Like Annapurna did an E3 like conference like last year, where they've done two of them, I think, where they go around the world. So when they were showing off like Thirsty Suitors and like, we're going to Edinburgh to have this thing, and it was all filmed like an Annapurna. It was like very nice and these nice graphics. Meanwhile, on the movie side, Annapurna has become less well known for, I think, as many movies as they used to. Which would make sense.
What movies? Like, is there any that like matter?
Yes. Okay, so let's see if I can find a list of Annapurna Pictures movies just to give people, because that's a good question.
Because I know they have a deal with Remedy for the television show, but that's like a future project. I don't know.
We'll get to that. Like The Master. You remember the Joaquin Phoenix thing about Scientology?
Oh, yeah,
Zero Dark 30, Spring Breakers.
Okay.
Her, Foxcatcher, Sausage Party.
Jesus.
But like some good stuff. If Beale Street Could Talk, about it, Buster Scruggs, Vice.
I think I saw Phantom Threads.
Booksmart.
Up. Yeah.
Like Hustlers. I like that movie a lot. Bombshell. That's about the Fox News. Nimona. Nimona actually. Nimona, I learned, was pitched to Disney, but because it had a gay romance in it, or not, and it wasn't even part of the plot. It was like a side character. Disney said, and Megan Ellison apparently is gay, and was like, you give me that, and I will put it out.
Gay shit.
You give me that gay shit, and I'll put it out unfiltered on Netflix.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So all this happened, and you could see that from 2019 onwards, you've got Hustlers, Wounds, Bombshell, Kajillionaire, She Said, the Night Bitch this year.
The fuck is Night Bitch?
It's about a lady becoming a werewolf.
Oh, okay.
But you can see that some of the some of the more well-known like movie stuff slipped a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's because they put the video game guy in charge of the movie sector, and he was still double focused on that. Okay, so then Megan Ellison comes back and decides that she's going to take back over both pictures and interactive. Busts and then there's a question about what happened here. Nathan Gary leaves, and so does the person that was in charge of interactive. It is unclear whether that was voluntary or fired.
Yeah.
Once that happened, it created a situation where the people at Interactive were so mad that they forced Ellison to come to the table into discussion to spin them off into their own team. They were going to create a new company called like Vanta, not Vanta. That's the black thing, but they were going to spin off into another company that was going to be like its own thing. I can't find the name of it.
Negotiation.
Anyway, it's in here. Oh, Verset. Verset is the name of it. So they were going to be spun off into their own company called Verset, and the whole reason for them to be spun off into Verset was that they weren't going to be directly under the control of Megan Ellison, because a lot of these people had spent like 3 years doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And they were also very high profile producers and like talent that good at finding talent.
Yeah.
So when that happened, they were in the middle of negotiations. Okay, so here's what we heard before. Those negotiations broke down, and then they all quit. But here's the new information that I get from this huge IGN article that everybody should read. At some point during those negotiations, the way it was going to work was that Annapurna Interactive was going to continue being a thing, but it would be under Megan Ellison's direction. And then this new Verset company would basically be financially beholden to Annapurna, but not directly controlled by them. They'd be independent.
Yeah.
Right around the time, right before this happened,
Alan Wake
in control. So here's what happened. Hector came back to the company from Epic Games. And suddenly, Annapurna has a deal with Remedy, who Epic has been funding for the last 5 years between Alan Wake and Control.
Yeah.
And so then there is this line that comes in where Megan Ellison says, well, the way it was going to work was that Verset would focus on indie games, and Annapurna Interactive would focus on AAA and AA games. And so what obviously happened here was that once Hector was probably talking with Megan Ellison the whole time, and basically said, I can get you a deal with Remedy. They love TV. They love what you guys do.
And they've been wanting to do a thing. This whole thing.
All you have to do is help them fund Control 2. They'll be there. They'll give you the rights for this stuff. I've already got a deal. I know all the people involved. Like, just give me the go-ahead and I'll go. What I want is I want control of Annapurna Interactive when I come back. And then she said yes.
Yeah.
And so these people were making like a good faith effort to do this negotiation, and then saw this knife come in from the side and were like, what just happened there? Like, you guys just grabbed this huge contract and out of something that probably should have been there, because the status of Annapurna Interactive was like up in the air.
Yeah.
But everybody who was that company was off making this other company. And so I think that what seems to have happened was that they did an end run around Annapurna Interactive's people, and they were just like, well, eat dick. Like, we're going to go start, like, this company has such a track record that like Sony, Microsoft, Square Enix, anybody would be like, you fucking hire those 25 people immediately, and you write them a blank check for as much money as they want. They're picking winners, and I need winners. Everybody needs winners.
I don't know if I'm just dumb, but I don't understand why that's a knife. Like, they said they wanted their own side company that's like connected but not under the control of.
Yes.
And then this former person brings in the Remedy deal.
Yes.
But how does the Remedy deal, does that mean that like that other thing that they wanted wasn't going to happen? Or are they mad that that thing happened while they were trying to make the company happen? Because if they were going to do anything on their own anyway, why would they have gotten any in?
I think that the precision, from what I can read, I think that the position of Verset is that Verset would be created to hold on to that talent, and Annapurna Interactive would be dissolved. Like that Annapurna Pictures, it would be Annapurna Pictures and Verset. And Verset would operate independently but still be connected to it. But that Remedy deal, especially coming with Hector coming back in, means that Annapurna Interactive is now like a competing arm for resources in the company of Annapurna. So this then puts a thing where like, and then the announcement that, well, Verset's going to be indie game focused is code for, oh, we just slashed your budget. Like the budget is going to Remedy, not to whatever
but
you're
that budget
coming up
was
with.
coming from for Remedy is coming from the movie side of things and not the interactive side of things.
From this article, it sounds like those two arms are like
virtually the same.
They only split off at the wrist.
So
right?
when the initial news broke about that walkout, which was a little bit ago,
it was like last week.
Yeah. Remedy had to come out and they said that our deal isn't with interactive, our deal is with the movie side of things.
Yes.
Which is why I'm confused about why the interactive group seems so pissed about it. But if it comes with Hector Sanchez being like, and therefore I'm going to keep interactive and I'm going to be a part of I'm going to be in charge of interactive, meaning that interactive is now not only still around but also a focal point. I guess it makes more sense.
It's just some real fucking margin call boiler room suits.
Man, there's going to be a really boring drama about this sometime.
Actually, I'm waiting for Jason Schreier to write a book about it because his new book is it's if not out, it's coming out soon, and it's the history of Blizzard from inception until like 6 months ago.
I bet that'd be a good read.
And that's gonna have some juice.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's more to it, and you have to read between the lines with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that what this came down to was a push and pull between like really as a gamer, I value the taste of the people from Annapurna Interactive.
Yeah.
They were picking out great stuff, like stuff that was really fun, really good, really interesting. And so I think that, like, you know, in a lot of ways, that was what they were bringing to the table was like you could.
But wasn't Hector Sanchez part of that?
He left very early on before, like, they had like 2 games out when he was headhunted by Epic, probably to do the same thing over there.
Wow.
So, but this team, you know, we're talking about multiple Game of the Year contenders year after year after year.
Yeah.
They knew their shit. And they'd been doing it before that. Some of them were ex-Sony. Some of them were very good at this job. That team floating out there, like, the idea is that they're still going to create Verset. And if I was Phil Spencer, I'd be on the phone to those guys right now of just like,
probably is.
what the fuck, what do you want? Or Sony for that matter, or Nintendo maybe even for that matter, of just like, that is a team of people who can pick well, and that is a skill that is hot.
Yeah.
It's hot. Anyway, all right, now we're super duper over time. So we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna see how much more over time we can go. We'll come back in just a minute.
For the final time.
last part of RageSelect podcast. Okay, let's talk about Ubisoft real quick. We got a few more news stories to go. This week, Ubisoft announced that Assassin's Creed Shadows is being delayed out of this year into February of next year.
Why?
Well, apparently because Star Wars Outlaws did not sell very well. And so I think that what Ubisoft is, the calculus from them is that they said the game is fully done, like it's completely done. But after looking at the reception for Star Wars Outlaws, they basically want to give the team like 4 months, 5 months to polish it, because I think one of the things that they're thinking is that Star Wars Outlaws didn't run really well, and it was a little like rough around the edges.
Yeah. And
there's probably, we might also be looking at a thing where there's like some open world fatigue on that game.
Yeah.
But because I was really interested in that game, and then I was like, when I played it, I thought, I'm going to wait for this to get better. I'm going to wait for this to be smoothed out before I try to play it, because it's still very janky.
Yeah.
So I think that they want to
kind of remove some of that jank before it gets released.
They want to, and there's a reason for that, and it's because Ubisoft's stock is fucking in the toilet.
Yeah.
Like it's at a 10-year low.
Oh no, they're gonna have to really care now.
Yeah. In fact, one of the other things they're doing with that Assassin's Creed that they announced is that they're going to be releasing it day one on Steam, which they haven't been doing. They've been releasing it on the Ubisoft app, and as we mentioned before, Steam
Nobody
users
wants to do it.
don't want to do that. So they're going to be releasing it day one on Steam, which is the first time in a long time that they've done that, because I think they need the boost. They need the PC players to buy it on day one, because I promised a graph. So
oh yeah, show me the graph.
So okay, Ubisoft shares plunged 20% today after the announcement that that Assassin's Creed is going to get pushed out.
Yeah,
because there's nothing else.
Yeah,
like it was just Outlaws, and that didn't sell very well. So what I have here, Amanda, is just the Google stock chart for Ubisoft. So this is of all time, and you can see that Ubisoft stock is slowly between when they started in around 2009 or whatever, it kind of slowly goes up, and it slowly goes up,
like reasonably, yeah.
And then around 2018, it just jumps.
Yeah.
And then it starts dipping back down again. And then suddenly you have the pandemic, and it goes almost all the way back up to 2018, which was their highest point.
Yeah.
But between the pandemic and now, it's almost down to where it was like when they initially
started. Yeah.
Like you could see, it's kind of dramatic.
Yeah.
Like,
just 1, 2 hills and a lot of valley.
Yes. So I think that if you look at this, you could say, I wonder if it's a good idea to let one family run one company all the way into the ground without doing anything different than what they've been doing, because they keep like saying they're going to do something different, and like that Star Wars game seemed like it was going to be different, but then it was a little different. So I think that the problem here is that their valuation is now so low. Now let's be clear, they're still $1 billion company.
Yeah.
But you can't do
less of $1 billion company now than ever before.
You can't do this. You can't do what this graph is showing.
Yeah.
This line can't keep doing what it's doing, which is just going down over time. So they need an Assassin's Creed game that comes out that has, because they already are fighting the online static with the people who don't like the new Assassin's Creed game, but they can't also be fighting people like me who want to play like the last Assassin's Creed game, where I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting idea, and then I installed it, I was like, this is like ass.
Yeah,
it looks and plays like ass. I don't want to play this. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So they need like an unqualified win that like really buoys them up and sells very well. So
like, we got to take it back. What if we made it a white man in that?
So like they're at the top of their trading. Their shares were trading for about $23 a piece. Right now they're down to $2.21.
Oh, so you're saying I can get in on that shit?
Totally can. That also a stock value that low means that they've split it a bunch of times and there's a lot of shares. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. The rest of these we got to go through pretty quick. Okay, but I did want to mention this really fast. There's a weird Flappy Bird is back thing. We talked about it last week, where like the guy that originally made Flappy Bird, he delisted it.
Yeah. And
then like he couldn't quite get the copyright, and this group swooped in and bought the copyright.
Yeah.
And have created a new Flappy Bird. It's a real nefarious bullshit thing. They talk about on their site how like it's a crypto thing.
Yeah.
Of
course it is.
They're never going to have they're never going to have NFTs, they say, but also apparently you can earn like crypto tokens by playing the game. And then here's the thing that I didn't know. Flappy Bird, right? It's a phone game. Okay, so let's say you want to play Flappy Bird. How would you go about doing that?
Downloading the app?
Nope.
Going on a website and downloading something.
You would have to go to Telegram in order to play Flappy Bird. You want to go to Telegram, right? You know,
obviously.
And I was like, but why?
Also, like, Flappy Bird wasn't so unique that I need it to be Flappy Bird.
Yep.
I could just download a ripoff of Flappy Bird.
Plenty of ripoffs.
Yeah, including some licensed I think there's like a Muppet Flappy Bird style game.
There was a game that came before Flappy Bird that was called like something cactus that apparently Flappy Bird could be a ripoff of, where it's a little yellow bird with big lips that flies in between cactuses instead of pipes, and it's also a yellow bird. And then there was like a controversy about like, wait, is Flappy Bird a ripoff like all on its own? But so who knows? All I know is I don't give a shit about Flappy Bird. That thing was ass when it came out.
I never played it. I don't remember it. I don't understand.
Yep.
But sure.
Okay, quick news. Don't Nod, the company, they made a few games. The last two games they put out was a game called Jusant that was a climbing a giant mountain game.
Okay.
I actually played through it. It came out last year. It's like 3 hours long and it was on Game Pass. So I was like, yeah, man, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then a game called Banishers, where it was like a husband and wife. Like the wife is dead and the husband is like a ghost hunter, and you have to make decisions about whether you want to like feed the wife souls or like let her die or whatnot.
Yeah.
Both of these games apparently just didn't sell very well.
Yeah.
And so Don't Nod is basically going back and kind of mothballing a couple of the projects that they're working on and trying to, we were just talking about this during the break, basically trying to figure out how to make a game that people are really going to excite people that they want to buy.
Play,
yeah. Where there was nothing wrong with these games, but they were just like in that mid-tier, like it's not Balatro and it's not Mortal Kombat. It's some kind of AA thing, but then it's like a third-person action game set in a kind of, the 1700s, where you're like a witch hunter guy and you've got to go to the new world. And it's like, well, I'm sure that appeals to somebody. It didn't appeal to me, though.
Yeah.
So
it's like something needs to click and nothing was.
Nothing about that elevator pitch clicks. So, also, Red Hook, the developers of the Darkest Dungeon franchise, have been purchased by Behavior Interactive, which is the company that makes Dead by Daylight.
Oh.
So sometimes this is a good thing because they get the protection of being under a larger company with a guaranteed revenue flow.
Yeah.
But Behavior Interactive also just canceled their PvE project and laid off everybody involved.
Well, that fucking sucks.
Yeah. Given now, Dead by Daylight or Darkest Dungeon is like a very well established IP that people love. So there's a good chance that like they've been coasting on momentum, and that momentum doesn't seem like it's slowing down. So it hopefully in a year I'm not telling you the story about how Red Hook has been disbanded and shut down. Also, this shit has to end at some point. And then last, before we get to the trailers, Platinum Games has managed to purchase the rights to Wonderful 101 back from Nintendo.
Good for them.
Yeah. So that was a Wii U game that was funded by Nintendo.
Yeah, we had fun playing it.
Yeah. They wanted it back. So they eventually managed to purchase the rights
Nintendo's like, we're not going to do shit with that.
Well, they also had their re-release. So it's kind of like, well, it's kind of done now.
Yeah.
So might as well.
It was a fun little concept of a game.
Michael loves this game so much.
John loves this game so much. But John and Michael are like the same person in a lot of ways.
Yeah. All right, trailer time.
Yeah.
We had a big fat RGG Ryu Gato Go, the Yakuza guys had a big conference where they talked about the stuff they were going to put out. I watched it all, and there's really only one thing, and it's this thing: Like a Dragon: Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. So this is a game starring everybody's favorite Yakuza psychopath Goro Majima, who is a crazy motherfucker. He's the one that wears the snakeskin jacket and has the eye patch. Somehow he washes up on an island in Hawaii
in leather pants. Those pants will be so uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
like wet leather pants.
And it becomes this whole thing. Like, this is set in the modern day. This isn't a throwback or anything. Where it turns out that the people on this island are getting razzed by like pirates, and so he decides to become a pirate. He's got amnesia, and he decides to become a pirate.
Interesting.
To help this community. But not like a Captain Phillips pirate, like a fucking Jack Sparrow with a big feather in his hat and a leather jacket with like a clipper ship pirate. But then also going around and punching people Yakuza style. And I
mean,
think this is amazing.
I was gonna say, so are you super hyped, or like how hyped are you?
I'm pretty damn hyped, mostly because one, the last Infinite Wealth was in Hawaii, and that was one of the turn-based games. But this is an action game, so it's back to the like beat 'em up version.
Yeah,
I like Goro Majima. He has never had his own game before. He has
and
never.
they went full pirate.
And they went full pirate.
Sure.
I also like pirates a lot, and I would like to see what this team does with the kind of silly premise of a man in 2024 sailing a pirate ship around, attacking people. So
yeah, because I wanted to double check something, because I've seen this trailer and I was like, why would I have seen this trailer? And it's because pro wrestler Samoa Joe is in it. And you would know him as the body actor for the Twisted Metal. He was the
Sweet Tooth.
He was Sweet Tooth. He was the body double. Will Arnett did the voice.
Oh, in the actual show.
Yeah, he was in it.
Okay.
He's done other acting stuff, but yeah, he's in this because yeah, they have a oddly close relationship with a lot of professional wrestlers.
Yeah, well, they've had wrestlers in their games before,
yeah,
as like cameos and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird to see this like very anachronistic, like swashbuckling pirate, then like a bunch of dudes in like ski masks with guns show up.
Yeah.
There's also this whole thing about this pirate city called Madlantis. That's like this casino.
That looks like something out of One Piece.
Yes. So it's in a typically Yakuza-like fashion. They're definitely just kind of smashing it all together. But then the games are always so earnest about these things that it works.
Yeah.
And I also love Goro Majima.
We were just talking about making games that people will love.
Yeah.
And this is how you do that.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
And it also looks like you're going to be able to do a bunch of the stuff in Hawaii. Like you're going to be able to go to the mainland, or not the mainland, but the main island, because they fucking modeled a whole Hawaii.
That's amazing.
So might as well use it.
I love it.
I still need to maybe go back.
That's Samoa Joe. That first guy that flashed.
Okay. I also need to go back and maybe try playing the game that came out in February.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like 100 hours long, and I'm just like,
You don't have 100 hours to spare, Jeff? Well, the holidays are coming up. You always play the games you don't get a chance to play when we go on holiday break.
I might do that, but like, man, like that new Indiana Jones game comes out on like December 8th.
Oh, fuck.
Like,
I forgot about that. That's still a thing? Yeah. Why? Why is that
the picture?
Yeah.
He's got his mouth open. He's just going,
they were like, don't make him look cool. Whatever you do, just make him look real awkward.
He's a real psycho.
He is.
He's a real psychopath.
That looks like it's going to be a fun game.
In the first game, when he shows up, he just wants to fight Kiryu because he's like a fighting junkie. And there's like one point where he's in a giant traffic cone and he just keeps following Kiryu around. So every time you turn your back,
you just like a cone
come out and just like
That's amazing.
He's great. I love Goro Majima. I can't wait for this. February 28th next year.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I was like, I wonder what they're going to do next. I wonder if it's going to be another like Judgment game. And nope, they went completely out of left field.
You can never predict.
Fucking pirate game, man. We got the launch trailer for Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns. I'm really enjoying this. I was playing it earlier today, and I was like, oh man, I'm almost out of like, I was like, oh, it's like chapter, I feel like I've done enough chapters. I'm almost to the end of the DLC. And then it was like, oh, wait, that's the end of the chapters for Act 1.
Oh.
So I don't know how long this is, but I've been really enjoying it. I like the new cyborgs. I like the new story with Havoc. There is so when they go to Havoc's dimension, there is a like Lieutenant Cage, who in that dimension was like an army guy in World War II who then got pulled into Outworld. And so it's like fucking G.I. Cage.
Oh my God. Were they like, this is as close as you're getting to Johnny Cage's Captain America?
Basically. But yeah, it's been amazing. They put back in the towers that I really like. All kinds of great stuff.
Are animalities new, or are they just showing an animality to show?
No. They're new for this.
Nice.
They've got all the DLC characters, and then the new DLC characters are coming out. Yeah, it's nothing but good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. We got some gameplay. Speaking of fighting games, we got some gameplay for Heihachi in Tekken 8 is the next DLC character that they're bringing in.
That old bastard.
Well, what's so funny is that at the end of the last game, I think, so there's the whole thing where Heihachi throws
he just tosses his kid down the cliff
into a volcano.
Oh.
And at the end of the last game, he finally, Kazuya finally beats him and throws him into a volcano. And now he's back. And there's like a line in the trailer.
Nobody fucking dies in this game.
Where he's like, how are you back? And he's like, you thought a volcano was going to stop me? You thought lava was going to stop me?
I throw myself in volcanoes all the time.
Yeah.
I've built up a tolerance.
Just a little lava every day. And now lava can't even hurt me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really play Tekken 8. But
I mean, honestly, if you know a little bit about these characters, that makes that sounds like something they would do because they are like, what if just a little pain a day will make you that much stronger? I'm willing to fucking do it. And it's just like, you're so weird. Just hug your kid. Just hug your fucking son.
So what does he say? How are you still alive? And he says, you thought some measly lava could kill me?
Yeah, man. They're all fucking crazy.
Well, but also, this is the family full of people that turn into demons.
Yeah.
They turn into literal demons with eyeball lasers.
Yeah.
And like Heihachi's dad was ogre, a literal ogre. So, yeah.
And they always fall in love with the sweetest women. And I don't know why. The women are just like, I can fix him.
Also, apparently there's going to be like story content that gets added on when this comes in.
I mean, you got to have story. Heihachi Mishima's there.
And then like
he's a little fucking nutter.
I didn't get to it, but I think that that lady is like the secret sister of Jin, who's also a Mishima.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So she's real smiley, and then when the camera turns away, when the main character turns away, she gets all like evil and shit. So
yeah. Well, I don't know how strong she can be if she didn't have the trauma of her dad tossing her into a ravine for no reason.
Let's see. We got a new character reveal for Marvel Rivals. Psylocke.
Oh, cool.
Which makes sense. It's so weird because...
Oh, that is a more dressed Psylocke than I've ever seen. And
that was exactly what I thought.
I'm used to her, and I guess I'm used to like 90s Psylocke in the like bikini
the
with the strappy things all over her. Yeah,
skin tight with the boobs all poking out. And
They're like, she's naked, but not.
So she still has like the leggings of her 90s.
Yeah, she still got the little hint of the strappies.
But then the top is like she got like a skirt over that and like a bunch of.
Why'd they give her like butterfly wings? I don't remember Psylocke being butterfly-y.
I actually know the answer to this.
Okay.
Because Psylocke is like the Psylocke that you're thinking of was originally a character called Betsy Brandt that was Captain Britain's sister, and she was a psychic, and then her power thing was these pink butterflies, and then she got somethinged, and there was a clone made of her that was mixed with like the DNA of like this ninja, and that's how you got the 90s Psylocke. But I think that like her and Betsy have like reintegrated into one person, and so now you've got like the ninja part, but you've also got the butterfly psychic part. So cool. Looks cool. I mean,
I'm not against it. I just that's not what.
Yep.
That's not my culture and heritage.
Yes. Because, like, I don't know. It's hard to see.
Because I stopped giving a shit about these characters in the 90s.
Her face is like, I don't know. She's very intensely Asian coded in the 90s.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look quite as Asian coded here. I don't know. But I also don't know what's happening in the comics. All I know is that the pink butterfly thing is a remnant from the old Psylocke.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
that's cool.
Seems cool. I'm interested in playing Marvel Rivals. I haven't yet. The idea of like
I am too.
Overwatch with Marvel characters. Oh, and then at the end they had a teaser for the Moon Knight.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Because it took me a minute. I thought it was just like a little moon.
Yeah.
And then I kept looking at it. I was like, oh wait, that's like his head.
Yeah.
And that's his cape. That's the Moon Knight.
That's very Moon Knighty.
Yep. So.
That psychopath is going to be in this?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Minecraft has a Transformers DLC, which is about the same, because they have these like weird themed DLCs that happen a lot.
I feel like I should tell John about this, but I feel like if I tell him, he'll be mad that I assumed he didn't already know.
Yeah. Maybe you could be like, wow, Jeff was talking about this weird Transformers Minecraft thing. Seems strange. Anyway, Minecraft does this from time to time where they'll put a bunch of characters from like a show or a movie in, and then they make like a really janky little mode that you can play with them. And this one is Transformers.
Yep.
So
fun.
It's weird because the character models are really nice, but then the gameplay is just so
it looks weird.
Janky.
It is kind of funny that like little blocky characters works for Transformers because
because they're robots.
Because they're robots.
And they got an RC in there too.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
God damn, Minecraft do be chugging along.
True. We got the Karate Kid Street Rumble that launched. Speaking of nostalgia, it's a little like pixel beat 'em up.
Is Cobra Kai still a thing?
I think so. I think they're on they're getting ready to have their last season. Huh. I fell off around season 5. Started to get a little too.
I never watched it. People were like, "You got to watch it." I'm like, I don't even like the movies.
Yeah. I always thought this one is weird because, in order to try to have a lot of different action people, they added in Allie from the first movie.
Sure.
Who was not a karate person, and then the lady from 2. The love interest from Karate Kid 2 when he goes to Okinawa.
They didn't put in Hilary Swank from the whatever 3 or 4 whatever.
Nope.
They were like, never.
I mean, a lot of this.
If we're putting anyone in a game, it's not going to be Hilary Swank.
It seems like a lot of this is like very specifically Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So, but it's also really weird.
All right, hear me out, Jaden Smith.
Yeah. Sure. You're going to do that? Throw it in.
Why not have fun with it? I mean, it's the whole...
Apparently, the other thing with this is that it has like really terrible cutscenes, like mobile phone game level cutscenes, because obviously this is done by Game Mill, who is like mostly a mobile phone
They're like,
company.
we have to. It's a compulsion of ours.
Yeah. We got the early access launch for Greedfall 2. Which I think is a bold move, Cotton, because I didn't think Greedfall 1 sold well enough. And also...
I do not remember Greedfall.
Early access. It was like a European colonial people come to the New World, but then the New World is full of like weird magic and stuff. And so it's kind of like an open world... kind of colonial versus the indigenous people, but with magic, and I didn't really get a good idea. I don't know. John played it a lot, so but it's got some big monsters. The main thing is I just don't think that a game like this is suited for early access.
Yeah,
like,
I don't understand why early access.
Yeah, it seems like the sort of game where it's like, well, no, just put it out when it's done. Like, quit trying to cash in on like, well, we got the first chapter done. You aren't Baldur's Gate, man.
Yeah. Weird.
So I don't know.
Maybe their audience likes it or something.
Maybe so.
Cannot help.
Blasphemous 2 is getting a big DLC.
Ooh. I remember the first one.
We got a really quick little thing. This is all about the mea culpa, which I think is a weapon from the first game, as well as 2 new areas, 2 new bosses, and a bunch of new story content based around that. Not much more information outside of that. It's coming later, Halloween. So
spooky.
Yeah. A lot of stuff coming out on Halloween this year.
Yeah, I don't have enough time. I gotta take the day off, play all the games, watch all the movies.
We got a Silent Hill 2 immersion trailer. This is the one where they show the PS5 controller rumbling and go, ooh, it rumbles. And like, 3D audio, 4K. But this had one piece of information in it that is important. And that was at the very end. There was a little note that said, where is it? There we go. Also available on PC, not available on other formats until October 8th, 2025. That like there is a 1-year console exclusivity agreement.
Yeah.
So if you want to play it on a console, it's only going to be on the PS5. It's going to be on the PS5 only for a year, which is a confirmation of something that we didn't know before.
Yeah.
So
I guess good for PlayStation.
Yeah. I mean, they're making them deals. Let's see. We got the launch trailer for Numata, which is a horror action game that I've kind of had my eye on. I'm not entirely sure whether I want to play it yet. It's got like decent reviews, but it's like a first-person game that's very kind of Silent Hill, Resident Evil-y, where you're trying to kind of go places, but then there's like there's like an action component to it where you have like a gun and there are monsters and you're shooting at monsters with a gun.
Is that why you want to play it? Because
Yes.
you like shooting at monsters?
I do like shooting at monsters
You
with a
hate
gun.
when they go, no, just be scared. And you're like, no, I want to shoot them.
I think it's scarier when you shoot them, but then you don't have enough bullets.
Yeah.
I think that's scarier than if you can't shoot them at all.
Yeah, if you're totally helpless, then who cares if you got a little autonomy to yourself?
Yeah, the main thing is
Your survival instincts kick in. That's more than just a gun.
feels like a minigun. Is the frame rate of this trailer is fucking awful.
Cool.
Like, it's terrible.
I was like, why does it look like shit? I'm usually not the person that notices that sort of thing, but like I noticed it right away, and
it's really jittery. It almost looks like that stop animated.
I was gonna say, it looked like the frame rate's wrong.
Yeah,
weird.
and I don't know if that's just like whoever made this trailer did a bad job at it, because otherwise, like the individual graphics look good.
Yeah, it looks fine, but it's okay. I'm glad, because I was like, how much coffee did I have? Like, I'm not that jittery.
And I'm really sick of games where like I get excited about looking at screenshots and trailers, then I go install it and it runs like ass.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I might need to look and see whether there's like something, like somebody could give me an idea of like, how does this run on the PS5? How does it run on the PC? Speaking of interesting horror games, entirely different direction, we got the launch trailer for Bloomtown, a different story. This is a little RPG from the people who made Graveyard Keeper, which was like a simulator game about running a graveyard and then spooky guys, where you're playing as like a bunch of kids in the suburbs, but then there's like demons and like your corgi turns into a really buff dude.
Were they fighting broccoli for a second there?
Yes.
Huh.
Not just that, but like I like the character designs in this quite a bit, because it's like this is like a little vampire lady.
Yeah.
And then when they were fighting the broccoli, there's like
there's just like a frog
guy and like a dinosaur standing on its back legs, it's like a bow in its hair or something.
It looks like a usher, like a movie theater usher.
Oh yeah. Here's a guy riding a pig.
There's that looks like
a
leaf
cat?
bear owl with an oxalotl.
Yeah. An owl bear. That's a cat riding a pig.
What the fuck?
Oh, apparently, though, it's got like a Pokemon thing where you can capture the monsters and then make them like fight for you and stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm not super RPG person, but this appeals to my whimsy.
Your overall sense of style and stuff.
Just enough, I want that frog because he blinked at different times, and I love frog blinks because they're hilarious.
Maybe we can play it at some point for the show.
Yeah.
Because I did download it, and then I ended up playing a different game for Patreon. Wow, look at that guy. That crazy, what's that guy remind me of? This guy. This giant, like, teddy bear with all the teeth.
Oh, my God.
Kind of reminds me of, in Bayonetta 3, Bayonetta's secret daughter has, like, a stuffed Cheshire animal that turns into a giant, monster.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
It's like, what, Paul Bunyan?
Yeah.
Evil Paul Bunyan over here? Like, I'm a real sucker for these character designs.
Yeah, me too. I like it.
So yeah,
I like it a lot.
Out right now on the PlayStation. We got the trailer for My Time at Evershine.
My Time at Evershine,
which is the third game in the My Time at franchise. Is My Time at Sandrock and My Time at something else. And this is actually a Kickstarter trailer.
Oh.
Because they're trying to kickstart it right now. This is one of those like farming, building, action, romance, also a story kind of games.
That sounded like you said a bunch of random words.
Well, okay, so think of like if you took something like what was that, Stardew Valley, right? But then added like a full-on fighting mechanic to it, but then also made it 3D. That's kind of what these types of games are. They have a lot of different stuff that you can do where you can grow crops, but you can also explore, but you can also do action, and you can build certain things, and then like the town will ask you for stuff. I've always found these games to be a little too much.
Yeah.
Because they've got so much that I'm like, I don't need a game that does everything. I want a game that does like one thing really well.
Yeah. Yeah. A little what's it called? Animal Crossing mixed with a little like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild or something.
Yep.
Or like any Zelda game.
It's pretty nice looking though. Like the last game was a little bit rough around the edges, but the characters here are slightly older. I think they were more like children-ish in the last game. So
they're adults now.
Yep.
Have romances and don't feel gross about it.
So I don't know what let's see do they have the Kickstarter in here? No. Let me see if I can find it. I'm curious if they've gotten funded yet.
Oh, good question.
There we go.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Yep. They have $1.2 million of their $200,000 goal.
Good.
With 27 days left to go.
Good for them. That's exciting for them.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Do it.
Dude, I love when Kickstarters succeed.
Yes.
As long as they deliver, because sometimes no.
Yes. Let's see. We got about 3 minutes of the new Professor Layton game. Professor Layton in the New World of Steam, which was announced, I think, last year with a quick teaser. But this one actually showed a little bit of like kind of moving around.
I always forget Professor Layton exists until a trailer or something shows up, and I'm like, oh yeah.
This is the first fully 3D one. The previous ones have all been like they were handheld 2D. And it looks like the overall art style is translated well into 3D. It's like this weird kind of little steampunk town, but then also it's like in the United States, and it's kind of like a Western. There's like a gunman ghost threatening Professor Layton and his young charge.
That sounds about right.
And then, as always, there's a bunch of like puzzles
to
puzzle out. So I've never played a Layton game before. Mostly because I'm not very tolerant at puzzles when I can't solve them.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's why I got to be there.
Yeah.
Solve all the problems.
Like, I'm not even entirely sure what these puzzles are.
Yeah.
And they're like, solve the most puzzles in the entire history of the franchise.
No. I will not.
Let's see. Another Switch game news. We got a big overview trailer for the Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is basically a month away. This month it's Zelda. Next month it's Mario Party. And the month after that, I believe it's Super Mario RPG, the new Brothers one.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I almost forgot about that one.
This looks pretty cool. Oh, sorry. Throat scratchy. There's a bunch of new boards, and there's a bunch of like remixes of old boards. They show some kind of cool stuff. There's a like mega wiggler that moves around and changes the board on this one.
That's kind of
There's one that's like a little Mario Kart one. They talked in this trailer about how you can get like buddies, so you can like recruit some of the other characters as like friends that then like will help you out.
So you can like form alliances.
Yeah, both like computer guys that have special little powers. They can, like, there's Donkey Kong can like knock you to other sides of the map. They also showed like a whole bunch of like co-op mini games where it wasn't an adversarial thing. So like, there's one that's like a Toad, like it's a factory with a series of like little like raising and lowering platforms and turning dials. But the thing is that each one is color coded for different players, so you have to work together as 4 players to get it done. There's one that's like a kitchen cooking like game. They're emphasizing in this trailer a lot of the like using the motion control.
Yeah, which means I can't play it on my Switch.
Oh yeah,
because there's no Joy-Cons.
No Joy-Cons.
They're connected.
Well, you could buy a Joy-Con for your Switch and pair it, right?
That's a good question.
I think you can.
I mean, that would make sense, but you know.
I'm not the biggest Mario Party guy in the world. So.
Mario Party is so fun when somebody else buys it and you go to their house to play it, and then you can go home and never worry about it ever again. But
Damn
I
it.
always feel like it's not a waste of money, but like unless I plan fucking parties for people to come over and play, I'm never going to play this thing.
There was a time for me in my life when I would play more social games like this, and it was when Rock Band was a thing.
Yeah.
Is having parties where people come over to play Rock Band.
It helps when you have like a bunch of cousins and siblings that like are always at your house and you could just play whenever. But like as an adult, don't come to my house.
It's my policy. Just don't come.
Just get away.
Just stay home.
Yeah.
Or go somewhere else.
I always
You don't got to go home, but you can't come into my house.
I always like John and I always have this conversation where I'm like, God, I just want to be more social and like hang out. I feel like I don't have any friends anymore, and then we get invited to stuff. I'm like, ugh.
No, go fuck yourself.
On the outside,
Yeah,
away from things, no.
Okay, I'm gonna skip some of this stuff.
Skip the boring ones.
I'll just say really quickly, there's this Romancing Saga 2 that has a TGS trailer. I said we weren't doing any TGS this week, but this is a full remake of like an old like pixel RPG. Oh. So instead of that, it's like everybody's
like
full 3D.
Yeah.
Voice acting.
Oh,
like,
I bet that's kind of neat.
Whole 9 yards and still the turn-based thing.
All
I never got into these.
They look a little generic anime character-y, but I imagine if they came from something else and were turned into this, that'd be neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to see your favorite little 16-bit guys.
Yeah, your little guys into big old guys now.
There's also 15 minutes of the Ballad of Antara. I was going to watch this, and then I forgot. This was actually another kind of Chinese, like, Souls-style game. This one, people might remember from the fact that the main character had, like, a little kid on their back, kind of a lone wolf and cub type of situation. Okay. So you can see here the kid on the wolf, but it very much looks like a third person kind of Souls/Sekiro style action game. We've seen a lot of this stuff recently. Looks kind of neat,
a little gray washed. The last 2 games have been kind of gray skies.
Yeah, this one has some interesting art going on in it. I maybe need to look further into it, but like I said, I just ran out of time.
Yeah. How'd you run out of time, Jeff? I was an hour late coming here today.
I can only read so many stories. We also got the release for Copycat. I haven't decided this about whether to play this on the show yet. Everybody is like, this is getting a lot of really good buzz about, but all of the quotes are like, it'll make you cry. It'll make you cry.
I'm not gonna fucking cry.
You gotta feel your feelings.
Let's play this. I won't cry.
So the whole point of this is that you play as a cat, and then as near as I can tell, the concept is that like there's a cat in this house that then a duplicate of that cat somehow comes into existence. But now you're like, you can't go home again because you're not that cat.
Yeah.
And so you have to go out in the world and try to figure out who you are and what the deal is.
As a cat person.
And there's a little cat that goes around and everybody's like, it made me feel stuff.
I'm guessing that you're not a duplicate of that cat and that you are, in fact, an abandoned cat. Well, there's like this point in the trailer where they literally show like looking in the window at like the person in that house petting the same cat. What if it's actually the thing?
And then at the end you just blah!
You just turn into, you just absorb people.
You just eat Wilford Brimley. Hey, that Shrek Power Wash thing.
Yeah,
coming October 10th.
Woo!
Last game trailer. There was an old PSP game called Freedom Wars, where it's a very weird concept. Everybody that's born has a 1,000,000-year prison sentence put on them. And then
I didn't even do nothing.
And then you get put into a weird jail where once you come of age, you can go on incredibly dangerous missions out in the ruined wasteland and every one you successfully complete like reduces your sentence. So you have to earn your way into society in this like ruined world. It's a really anime-ass contrivance. But
are we under the assumption that I will live 1,000,000 years?
No, but like when you complete a mission, you'll get like 50 years or 100 years off of your sentence. And then the more dangerous the mission, the more years you get taken off of your sentence. So, but they're, Amanda, come on. But what's really going on under the surface? I've been reached out to by the Resistance to say, I've never played the game before, but
I'm just gonna assume here.
It's a Monster Hunter-ish game where you can like hunt these giant mutants.
Yeah.
And it was a big Vita game. It was a PS Vita game. It was like really a big thing on the PS Vita.
60 people played it.
Yep.
Like, what was big? How big is a Vita game?
But they're remastering it and putting it out in January of next year.
That's cool.
Yep. And they're kind of trying to keep it exactly as it was, but with like they're adding some voice acting. They're upping the controls to make it more
like modern and make it fit to like a console game as opposed to the little handheld Vita.
But there was an IGN story where they said they went out and played it, and it was from somebody who had played the previous game. They said that like if the previous game being janky put you off, this game is just as janky. Like
Don't play this one.
They didn't update that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Stardew Valley's 1.6 update is coming to consoles on November 4th. This is a huge update, so some people are really excited about that.
People keep trying to get me to play that game, and I can't express how I will not.
How much I don't want to play it.
Yeah, the more they say I should, the less I'm going to.
2 Point Hospital got a release date, March 4th of next year. It also has a pre-order pack that gives you a bunch of Sonic and Shadow crap that you can just throw in to your museum.
2 Point Museum, not 2 Point Hospital?
Yes, this is the third one.
Okay.
So it's 2 Point Hospital, 2 Point University. This is 2 Point Museum.
Cool.
This
Got
is
it.
the new one. Yep.
Can we get away from Shadow for 1 second, Jeff?
Nope. You cannot. Warhammer 40K. The Warhammer 40K team is already talking about DLC / a sequel to Space Marine 2 because it did very, 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 very well.
Nice.
And they're already going to be putting out some free updates, but then they're trying to decide they've got some ideas about whether they want to do a full-fledged sequel or just do DLC. Nothing yet. There's a game called Rain World that came out a little while back where there was like a little sluggy cat called Slug Cat that went around in this rainy world in the game Rain World. And they're putting out a DLC where you play as a different slug cat called the Watcher later this year.
I'm sold.
Oh, March of next year. So I didn't care for this. It was like a Metroidvania, and I didn't really...
You're like, I don't want a Metroidvania slug cat.
It was just like the color palette was very dour.
Yeah.
And the art style was very chunky. And it was like,
chunky is a perfect word for what this art style is.
So I just wasn't into it.
Yeah,
It wasn't my shtick. But
that was
let's see.
one of those $2 games I would buy off Steam when I used to play all the indie shit.
Yep. Persona or Metaphor ReFantazio got a demo.
Oh.
That's out right now, and it's like the beginning of the game, and you can carry your progress over. Also, we got the confirmation that apparently this game is going to be almost as long as Persona 5, which was like a 100-hour RPG.
God
damn. But apparently the one thing that makes me think I might be able to stick with this is that the team specifically said that they tried as much as they could to cut down. Persona 5 had big stretches where not a lot was happening, where it would kind of go into a downhill, like a valley before the next big thing. Apparently, they've tried to eliminate as much downtime as possible, so they kept adding stuff to 100 hours, but it's like all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So
got to add a little more meat.
we got some Netflix stuff. We got the teaser for Devil May Cry along with a release date. This is the Eddie Shankar animated Devil May Cry.
John Young Bosch as the lead dude whose name escapes me.
Dante?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who is it?
John Young Bosch. He was a Power Ranger. He also did the voice of Vash the Stampede in Trigun.
Okay.
That's what I know him from mostly.
I watched that subbed. This seems like the perfect thing for Eddie Shankar, if I'm being honest. Like, he likes this kind of flashy Dante stuff, and I didn't like it when Castlevania started going in that direction.
Yeah.
I'm more like, do it in Devil May Cry. So
here you go.
And it got a release date April of next year. We also got the first teaser for the animated Splinter Cell show that they're making. This is one franchise where I'm just like, I'll take anything, guys.
Yeah.
We found out who the voice of Sam Fisher will be because it's not Michael Ironside anymore.
Oh, who is it?
It's Liev Schreiber.
Oh, okay.
Which is okay.
He's a good voice actor. I mean, he's a good actor, and he has a good voice. I don't know if he's done voice acting, but that's really not stopped actors before.
I wonder what this is going to be, because like the original Splinter Cell was an organization that was part of the NSA called Fourth Echelon that just did like off the books really illegal shit, like as a spy agency in order to keep the world safe. It was kind of part of that like post 9/11 Jack Bauer, somebody's got to break these rules to keep America safe kind of thing. So I wonder how it's going to come out. It's definitely part of this teaser is like a much older Sam Fisher, where he's got like he's going down underwater, and he's got like this beard and gray hair, so it's not like the young Sam Fisher.
Interesting.
So, I don't know.
Maybe it'll be all the fallout of all that illegal shit he did.
Yeah, maybe so. No information yet on when that's coming out, but the Liev Schreiber thing is a big thing. So, Cyberpunk 2077 is confirmed to be getting another anime after the big success of Edge Runners on Netflix.
Sure.
Which is great because it's nice to, like, you don't have to build that world. The world is built. You just have to tell a good story in it. So I think it's easier because CDPR and the guy that made the original RPG, like, they've done a shitload of world building. Yeah. So, like, you don't have to worry about
that
like
thick Bible of thing. Yeah.
And then, you know what, Amanda? I promised.
Yes.
I will deliver it. Wait. Oh, actually, this is one quick thing. I think this is really funny. So League of Legends does a thing. I don't know if they do this all the time, but they have put out this video that is a music video for this new Linkin Park song, I think.
Yeah, because they just debuted the new singer.
Heavy is the Crown. That's about like the League of Legends World 2024 anthem. So this is about like their competition, and they put out a music video that's literally like, at one place you have Linkin Park all dressed up in the Arcane style, but then like you have all these characters that are like going towards each other, but these are like the actual people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they based on real people?
They're the actual esports characters, and like half of them are like kind of generic Asian dudes with like glasses on. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's like a real guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was interesting. This is the first time I've heard the new lady, Linkin Park lady, who seems like she screams real good. And then this is also produced by Riot, so like they do a good job with action, and their kind of like weird painterly style is a pretty good fit for this.
Yeah, it's very pleasing to look at.
So I don't know. I just thought it was really funny that like only they would go. We're gonna put the weird nerds on. We're gonna make the nerds look all fucking cool.
You're only gonna be so cool in a Linkin Park music video in 2024 anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I'm in. Honestly, that's great.
It's really interesting. You guys should all go take a look at this thing. How many hits does this thing have?
Probably
14 million views.
This
came out 2 days ago.
Hell yeah!
Fuck's sake. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Amanda?
Yes, you promised.
Translucent. Xbox is putting out a series of translucent materials for their Pro controllers.
Hell yeah. The only time I've ever been tempted to buy a Pro controller.
Yeah, these are $150 controllers.
I know what they are. My brother keeps buying them for himself.
Oh, well, you could tell him that he could buy
one for me.
So they've got a bunch of different colors that
purple.
You can see through. But then they actually do have one non-pro controller that you could buy for the regular price. And that one is the basic...
is it just that clear one that's right there?
Yeah, but like, no, these are the pro ones.
I like them a lot.
Wait, no, that's not. That's something
just like
different.
An unboxing.
The Ghost Cipher edition is just a clear one, but it's more clear because the handhelds are also clear.
Yeah, it doesn't have the rubber grippies.
Yeah, which is cool because that's where the rumblers are.
Oh, that's why it's cool to see, because you can see all the little mechanisms.
Yep.
Move
and this one's only $70. So and that's like a full Xbox controller. It still has like the full grippy back, but then the whole front of it is like
just clear. It's just white or like white.
Which I think, I don't know, like I don't need all the $150 bullshit. If I was going to buy one of these, it'd probably be this, even though I could do without the golden triggers
I was just
and
thinking that. Yeah, that's fine.
And that's it.
We made it.
Holy crap.
And we weren't over time or anything.
Shit. Patreon.com/RageSelect. I can't even do the outro. We're so over time. Get out of my house.